Give me coffee in the morning, gotta have the coffee. Wake me up, shake me up, dip me back on pussy. 1 sip, 2 sips, and I'm feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive. Woke up in the morning, sleepy eyes yawning. Jumped out of bed, started the day, opened the curtains. Felt the cool breeze, the sun shining on my face. But something was missing, I needed my job to chase. Give me coffee in the morning, give me coffee in the morning, gotta have the coffee. Wake me up, shake me up, dip me back on pussy. 1 sip, 2 sips, and I'm feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive.
Good morning, good morning. That was a little awkward entry there. Good morning, butterfly. You're saying good morning to Flip Flops, but it's not showing on my end that she's even here. There, oh, Pokemon's here, I can see that. Well, I can't see you yet, Flip Flops, but welcome in. Can you guys hear me okay this morning? We coming in good? Hope everybody had a good night. I crashed out super early. I don't know what happened. I went to Subway and got this like foot-long sandwich, and yeah, I came home and I ate it in my bed like a bad girl. Yeah, and then I don't remember much after that. It was gone till almost 2 a.m. and I've been awake ever since. But I'm not complaining because I feel pretty good. Oh, look, I got this banner up there. Wrong one for now. I can't get it together this morning. Okay, there we go. So, good morning, Micah. Welcome in. Now my chat wants to act right. Okay. Good morning, Micah. Now I see some people's names coming in. Sirius Black, it's been a minute. Good morning. Has your work schedule changed up, hon? Are we doing anything a little different maybe? It's good to see you back. Are able to join us. So we got some updates to go over this morning, guys. We had a document drop, I think the day before yesterday in Brian Koberger, and we haven't had a chance to look. Well, I've read it over somewhat, but we haven't had a chance to review it live. I think Dolphin's going to join me for that. I don't know who else may trickle in. So there's been a little bit of talk on the YouTube streets, or not just on the YouTube streets, but up in the courthouse about juror number 15 over there in the Lori Vallow Daybell debacle. Let's call it that. Because unfortunately for Charles Vallow, is this woman going to get a mistrial based on juror number 15? We can bet your sweet ass they're having a talk with juror number 15 to get to the bottom of this. And then we're going to go into a Karen recap update situation. Why do we think about this crap when we go to bed, like evidence? And like, I'm not like taking emotions to bed with me because I'm not crazy, but I'm laying there as I'm drifting off. I'm thinking about evidence or lack of. It's crazy how we do that with these cases. What a mess. Butterfly. Oh my God, girl. I'm like thinking this morning at 2 a.m. after I wake up. And I'm thinking, why am I thinking this? But that's usually when I could do my serious thinking. Or usually I go for long drives, or I sit out back or whatever. But I'm laying there in the middle of the night thinking about it. And I'm like, they've told me a cute little story so far. I don't mean to make light of it by calling it a cute little story. What I mean by cute little story is this big old conspiracy theory, right? Like, right now, neither side's proven any of this stuff happened to me yet. It's crazy. Sirius says, I've been helping my daughter move home from her dorm room. Oh, okay, you've been super busy. Gotcha. Well, thank you for your support and listening in on the replay crew. We appreciate it. Getting those kids settled in takes priority, doesn't it? It most certainly does. Um, so I got a couple of things for us to review. Something interesting also happened. No, well, not happened, but something interesting came down the pike in the Brian Koberger case. It's not even case document related, so let me just say that. Um, a lot of you may be familiar with Howard Bloom doing the book, the series of articles for Airmail based on excerpts from his book and things of that nature. Well, um, for some reason, my link is broken to the actual Airmail. It was working this morning, and then I go back to it to pull the article up to make sure I have it starred for the show, and I'm like, well, now I cannot even do it. So they can bite me because I'm not paying them any more money than they already got. So Drunk Turkey actually did it and read it. I think I found that about 2 o'clock this morning as well. So we're going to take a look at what Drunk Turkey did. But I want you guys to hear what Howard Bloom had to say because it's interesting. Let's just say that. Some of us have wondered about this, and now it's like, take it with a grain of salt. It's Howard Bloom. You know what I mean? Oh, you meant the mess in Lori Vallow. Yeah, girl, all these cases are a mess that become high profile, right? It's like, which one you talking about? Which case? Especially over here where we talk about many different cases. Keeping them all straight sometimes. Oh, goodness. So, good morning, Sajoy. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's good to see everybody coming in this morning. So we got a day off from the Karen Reed trial today, which is kind of nice. I think we could all use a break every now and then, but we kind of wanted to get on with it at the same time, right? So we left off with Jen McCabe being questioned by the defense. We'll pick back up with that tomorrow morning. So should be another interesting day at court. So far, what has been proven to me in this case is that some key witnesses told one thing to grand jury and one thing now. And I'm like, I'm not cool with that. Maybe a word or two different, but come on, man. We're talking, yeah. Makes me wonder what Ann Taylor really found in all that grand jury testimony that might change compared to the now testimony in the Idaho 4 case. Crazy. All right, so let me minimize this screen and get ready to pull up this document. We're going to get on with getting the Koberger document over and out of the way. It's not a terribly... There's an interesting thing said in the documents that made me really wonder, which I've always wondered, I think we all have, is there a connection to these victims? How does he know about the victims? Where did he stumble onto his victims? How did he even, something triggered him to choose that house? Was it the house was the easier target, or were the victims he got lucky and a victim he looked at happened to live in the perfect storm atmosphere, right? Did it all just come together beautifully? But how was he watching them? Because you can't tell me the guy wasn't watching them in some capacity. Maybe not full out stalking. Hey, I'm going to follow you around and make it known, or stalk you on the Instagram and all the things. You're good, Dolphin. I'm waiting on you, hun. I'm just rambling my mouth as usual until you get situated. So, yeah, there's something, there's more evidence coming out, but there's literally no connection between this guy and these victims on a device. So, what was you doing? How was you watching? I'm so intrigued to know that. Doesn't say that he wasn't using devices and internet and social media and all the things to watch them. But there were a lot of ways I think he could have done it. And a lot of ways he might have tried to hide it. I don't know. I'm confused, conflicted. I'll pull up this document. We're waiting on Dolphin to get in here. She's getting all set up. It's going to be the order on the defendant's motion to strike the death penalty and to adopt other necessary procedures due to the defense saying prosecution has failed to turn over their discovery on time. So, as a sanction, that this should be enforced. And the judge is like, no, big old denied as usual. Big old denied. Okay, let me get situated and squared away here. Let me get this up. Okay, let me get make this one smaller to make that one bigger. Okay. Alrighty. Make it bigger so I can see it. All right. So they had accused for somebody who continues to say, well, they're not giving us any discovery and now we want sanctions against them. We also continue to hear how much discovery she's gotten at the same time and how she can't get through it all and it's going to need another 3 years to do all that. So I'm like, which is it, lady? Too much discovery? Too little discovery? Not enough exculpatory in your night? What's going on here? Word salad. Good morning, Miss Dolphin. How are you? Let her get a second to get set up, guys. Dolphin, if you can hear me, I can't hear you if you're trying to speak. I don't know why it's... Let's see. I got you on screen with me. I got you turned up. But we have no volume. Okay, let me come over here and look at chat. Yeah, serious. I know he was watching. Okay, if he's the guy, I believe yes, he was watching them from Moscow. But was he just doing that, sneaking around town and following them to get the gist of their movements and the house? But he still would have had to hone in on them from somewhere, right? Like, did he go to the restaurant and see them there and go, oh, I like that? Or, and then just decide I can follow them around town by foot, by car, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's intriguing as hell. Very intriguing. Oh, well, thank you, Sirius Black. That is so nice of you. Dolphin, I don't know if you can hear me yet. Let me take you down, let you come back up, okay? Okay. We'll try her again in just a minute, guys. Thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. You guys are a great group. I have to say that. I was thinking about you guys early this morning. I just had a lot on my mind when I woke up this morning. But you guys are a great community, and I appreciate all of you. Lawyers don't think about things they've said previously. That's silly. What things? What am I missing? Things... what they themselves have said previously, or what? I don't know, Micah. I've said so much, I don't know what you're talking about now. You can hear me, Dolphin? Okay. Let me see if I can get her back up. Okay. Are you there, ma'am? Hello? Not yet. I don't have you unmuted or anything. There we go. I heard a noise.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. For some reason, it wasn't on my headset mic. I just realized that.
You're good. I was giving you a few minutes to get that worked out. Sometimes we all have that shit. Issues happen, man.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and it had been sitting in standby mode for like a couple of days. So I was
I
like,
figured that when you said moving to the laptop, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because I had a free copy of the audiobook for Howard Blum, and I was like, oh, let me record this.
Which audiobook was it? I'm curious. Is it like...
the one when the night comes calling, or
so
whatever it is.
The Idaho 4 one.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you heard about, since you're listening to that, I feel like I had that at one time, then I stopped listening, and I kind of forgot about it. But Drunk Turkey released a video, I think it was yesterday or last night. I think I saw it at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
Oh, really?
But it was a latest installment of Howard Bloom's Airmail series.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't seen that.
Very interesting. So I go
Mhm.
this morning and I pull up the article and I had it saved. Then I went to go back and make sure I had it saved the right spots. I could pull it up real easily, and
Mhm.
my links won't work. It will not let me back in there to view this stupid article. So I
Hmm.
was like, you know what? I can just pull up Drunk Turkeys and give him a shout out, drop his link, whatever it takes, and we'll just let him talk and read it to us. But
Mhm.
some interesting stuff was said in that thing, and of course, take it with a grain of salt. It's Howard Bloom. We just his sources and his own whatever. But
Yeah.
it's a decent inform. I was intrigued. Let me say that it was affirming some thoughts we've already had about, not like concrete thoughts, but what if type thoughts. Um,
Mhm.
Oh yeah, we believe that too, Sirius, especially when you take into the account the day they have that pullover. They're going to use in court. Then if you go and look at all of the warrants that were pulled right there, right at the shopping center. We went through all of that here, and it's like, whoa, were they only pulling everything to see if he was there at the same time they were, or it looks like they was. It looks like there's receipts and stuff. So I've always just been curious as to how that guy was following them. Okay, so or knew of them. This is the only one that's come down as of this morning, and this was the one from like a day or two ago.
Mhm.
So that, like I've already said, the judge has denied it, guys. That it was the one to motion to strike death penalty and adopt other necessary procedures. Now, there's a lot of fluff in here. It's 12 pages long. Um, he's just going to go through what they did, or what they're asking for. The defendant contends that the discovery produced by the state in this case has been voluminous and unorganized, thus rendering him unable to meaningfully review and investigate the state's evidence in time for trial. Still hot. Okay, so there you go, right, Micah? We're not getting enough evidence, but we got so much, we're not going to be ready in time. It's like, what? Asserting his due process rights have been violated, defendant seeks sanctions in the form of striking the death penalty and imposing certain organizational requirements upon the state to aid defendants' review of discovery. To aid defendants' review. So she's wanting them to get it all organized, label it, tab it up, send it to us, a nice, neat little package, right? The state has responded it has complied with all discovery obligations, including Brady, and there is no basis for sanctions or other measures. Oral arguments on the motion was held on April 9th of 2025. You guys remember the 8-hour marathon motion hearing? We watched it here. After which the court took the matter under advisement because defendant has to show discovery violation or due process violation by the state. Sanctions are not warranted. The court further declines to require the state to provide further organizational assistance to defendant. Hire some paralegals and assistants. And then they go through the standard, the trial decision regarding. I'm not going to read all that, and I'm not going to do all that. Okay. Analysis. We will, pursuant to Brady and Maryland, a prosecutor has constitutional duty to disclose favorable evidence to the accused where such evidence is material either to guilt or to punishment. This duty covers not only exculpatory material, but also information that could be used to impeach a key government witness, which brings in the Gilgo,
Mhm.
or Giglio. I said it
Giglio.
wrong.
Mhm. Yeah.
Giglio. There we go. It's a funny
You
little
got
word.
Lisk on your
Yeah.
brain.
It's got a little funny looking, it's a funny sounding little word.
Or
Brady does not.
Giglio, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, Brady does not, however, grant discovery rights to a defendant. And they cite State versus Campbell, and then they quoted United States versus Bagley. It simply imposes a due process standard upon prosecutors by requiring them to disclose favorable material evidence. And they cite the Idaho Code. In tandem with Brady, the Idaho criminal rule requires the prosecuting attorney to disclose as soon as practicable following the filing of charges any evidence which tends to negate the guilt of the accused. So you got Brady that goes for the guilt, and then you got the Gilio that exculpatory. So
Mm-hmm.
they have to turn over it all, whether it's either way or they're supposed to anyway. The discovery obligations under both Brady and ICR 16 extend to all government agents. Okay. Um, here, oh, that's an entry. All I saw was the defendant confusingly, and I'm like, he did confused what? Hold on, let me go back and read. I think we
I
may.
got something on my calendar for this.
Oh, do you?
Oops.
Oh,
Oh, hold on.
welcome in, Britt. How are you? Okay.
It is what, today's the first.
Yes, ma'am.
I put on my calendar the jury questionnaires will be administered approximately whatever 2025. I wonder, is that's got to be from Hippler's court.
Yeah, I think we have two new documents, and on those, and they're to seal
Mm-hmm.
questionnaires.
Okay.
So we'll take a quick look at those when we get done because they're like super short. It's motion to seal, motion granted, but I think they're pertaining to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we had this one, and as far as I know, that's the only ones we had down that were new. So this footnote says, despite presenting this motion, I think we're still waiting on another ruling too, Dolphin. I got to double check, but I think we are. Despite presenting this motion in briefing as a Brady violation, at the hearing on the motion, defendant confusingly requested that the court view the motion not as Brady violation, but as a due process violation. However, defendant appears to misapprehend the scope of his due process rights regarding discovery. There is no general constitutional right to discovery in a criminal case. See Weatherford versus Bursey, United States. In fact, the due process clause has little to say regarding the amount of discovery which discovery which the parties must be afforded. And they cite Wardius versus Oregon. Um, rather, it is Brady. Rather, it is Brady and is progency that serve to upload a criminal defendant's due process rights with regard to. Okay, so he's confused about the law there, a Brady violation versus a broad due process violation.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I'm on my second pot of coffee, Pokemon. I was making more coffee and heard Gilgo. she, I could imagine what you
Yeah.
thought you heard.
I've been up all night, so.
Girl, when I ended my stream, well, Joe was on a live last night. And anyway, I ended up eating a Subway at about
Mm-hmm.
7-ish in my
Mm-hmm.
bed, like just piled up in my bed, eating a foot long sub.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
remember. I don't. Yeah. Oh wow, it was right because I don't remember much after that. Turned on that heat and massage pad, and I was gone. And I was out cold until about 1:30 this morning, and I've
Mm-hmm.
been wide awake ever since.
Oh, yeah. Same,
Whatever.
same.
Yeah,
I
just
had
catching up.
McDonald's
Good.
delivered earlier, like, I don't know, about an hour or so ago.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Hmm.
If I get a few
Might as well
hours,
just stay up.
good. Exactly. That's what I said this morning. I'm not. Some mornings I can go back to bed and just get up another hour later or whatever. But this morning it was like, nah. Things were on my mind. Things were happening. I was like, I got to get out of this bed.
Hmm.
Why did I go to bed so early? Is what I'm telling myself. And I'm like, who cares? It's just I don't care. Give me a few hours. I'm good to go. 12:30 a.m. where Britt is listening till I fall asleep. Well, thank you. We do the
Brit must
same.
be in Australia.
Yeah, we put in things to listen to as well. We don't mean to fall asleep sometimes, but we do, right? So I won't take it. I won't take it personally when we drift you off to sleep. Okay. Um, so here we go. With their more than 68 terabytes of data in Discovery, consisting in excess of 13,000 photographs. Wow. 15,000 video clips from businesses and 8,000 video clips from residents. You don't got no Discovery, ma'am? Huh.
Yeah.
You can't pick out those pertinent times and go watch those videos for certain things at certain times to see what's happening?
No, because, everything wasn't labeled and collated and.
She knows
organized
what
for
time
her,
they said
so
such and such happens to go look and see.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's where my mind
Mhm.
went is
She
if
needs
we
to go through everything to make sure there isn't something, in there that's
exculpatory,
exculpatory to her client.
she better make you know she's watched that grub truck video a million times to make
Mm,
sure.
yeah.
So why can't she watch the rest of this?
Oh, speaking of things to watch, did you guys watch what was it? The rest of the Ashley Banfield interview with Steve? Because
No.
on
Was
News
there
Nation,
another
she
part?
only had like a few minutes. Oh, yeah. She did a little over an hour with him on her Drop Dead Serious show. I
Okay, wait, wait,
found
wait.
that last night.
So I saw her drop that a couple of days ago, like the day
Hmm.
after her interview, but I assumed,
It was just the
my
same
bad,
thing.
that it was the
Hmm.
same thing. Yes, ma'am. Great
She
call.
actually had a flannel top on. I was like, "Oh, wow, she
Yeah,
actually can wear
we
colors."
don't we don't know why, but she wears flannel on the YouTube
Mhm,
and that white shirt on News Nation. We don't know
mm.
why. It's like a big mystery. We don't know why. I'm like, I just shake my head. I'm scared to even ask her. I'm
Maybe
like,
she's trying not to clash with the set or something.
I think she's just being more casual and laid back because that's what YouTube is compared to mainstream media. And
Mhm.
they know it and they're embracing it. A lot of these YouTubers, Anjanette Levy on her YouTube channel, much more relaxed, Anjanette, and
Oh,
funny,
yeah.
than they do on their legal channels. You know what I'm saying, or their
Mhm.
network channels. Um, so it's fun to see them in a different light. But yeah, she's taken to her flannel shirt for this for some reason. Okay, let me. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to go watch that now, Dolphin, because I didn't see that whole thing.
Yeah,
Did
what
he
was
say
it? We
anything
were
else
watching some
interesting,
videos
or
last night, and, did you watch that one that Firefly had linked, where the guy was like he's like a young Mr. Steve doing the test on the artificial arm for John
I
O'Keefe's
I got the link, but I haven't
trial?
watched it yet. We may watch that here in just a little while. Did you
Yeah.
watch it?
Mhm. Yep, it was good. I think he needed to just change one thing, but yeah, it was good.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I want to take a look at that so I can grab that link and drop it in our playlist when we get to our Karen updates here in a few minutes. Okay,
Okay.
because I'm not going to spend a terrible amount of time on this guy. Defendant argues that he has been prejudiced by the state's data dump. Data dump for no discovery? That's some pretty strong words. Method of discovery and contends the sanctions are warranted. And you gave me all my discovery, but it was unorganized. How dare you? Uh, come again? Lord, while the state acknowledges there is a massive amount of data in this case, it contends the majority is completely irrelevant.
Mhm.
Okay, well then label irrelevant so Anne gets a heads up, and it's up to her to go through it and see if it's really irrelevant. There you go. Problem solved, Anne. Specifically, the state contends that most of the data is from cell phone extractions and weeks of surveillance footage throughout the Moscow area. Now, you know they went back and got weeks worth, especially if you want to see was anybody following these students around town. Because if they didn't know right away who did it, they didn't arrest him for 6 weeks. You're only going to retain video for so long. It's a lot of these places. I don't know how long digitally now it's retained. Back in the day, you had a 30-day loop at these businesses on their VHS recorders,
Mhm.
right? So I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know the different. Maybe you may know more about that than me, Dolphin, because I'm not technology savvy on that shit at all.
What, like the businesses or
Like
residential?
how long they retain video these days that's
Um,
digitally collected like this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's cloud
yeah,
storage and all that. Could it be
yeah.
months at a time now compared to
If
the
you're
old
paying for a
days?
subscription, like, Ring, by default, it won't be, something long, but if you have, like, a subscription, I think I had to go into my settings and set it to 180 days,
Uh huh.
because I thought it was already on 180 days, and
Oh,
it
I got
wasn't,
you.
and I
Right.
realized I lost something that I wanted to get, and I was like, "Oh, dang." But,
Oh, I wonder about businesses though. How long they're
yeah, they probably have much longer storage,
yeah. Yeah, because
I
I
can
know
look
well,
it
like
up. 'Cause, yeah, you think like, alarm companies like ADT
uh-huh.
or whatnot, because they also, include, security cams and whatnot. For a business, they might, give them a lot more storage.
Oh, I would imagine so, right? And like I was saying, back in the day, they had, I remember hearing criminal cases where they would recover the VHS, but
Hmm.
30 days they were set to record over and things like that. So I was like, I wonder how long they actually can store this stuff. Months at a time, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. What do we, how, it probably varies,
Although,
business
you
to
know what?
business.
So I just thought about something. So for a house, like, Ring, a lot of those are just motion activated. So your
Yeah,
camera is not going on and off all that much. But a business would be continuous, like
continuous loop.
24/7, blah, blah, blah. So they would automatically, accrue more storage, like say on a daily basis
Exactly.
than a residential customer. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's curious
If I
because,
could look.
if they go back, because they didn't catch him for 6 weeks, right? So
Mhm.
during that 6 week period, I'm guessing they collected everything they could because they don't know what they're looking for at that point. How does Anne think the state felt at that point when they didn't know what they were looking for, who they were looking for, but they had to go through all of that
Yeah.
to figure it out?
I tell you, she's
It didn't just
something
jump off the
else.
page at them like, here I am, suspicious car all over your town. It took a minute, I'm sure. And it probably took continued once he was arrested. Now, I would say that Linda Lane footage and all that captured in 1112, pretty quickly, that immediate
Mhm.
area. But as they branched out, it got so much more broad. They even went out towards Troy looking for footage in case the person entered or exited the town that way. They didn't know um,
Mhm.
which way yet. So the state also notes that since this case began over 2 years ago, it has continuously turned over defendant all information it received from the various investigation agencies in the same format as the information was received by the state. So we've turned over everything the FBI gave us as we received it, as the way we received it. Nothing's different. You got what we got from the FBI. We know what or it could also mean the ISP, Idaho State Police. This was done at defendant's request. It was FBI, who specifically asked that the state produce everything the state had from the get go. Okay, hold my beer. Defendant also issued 400 itemized requests for discovery in this case. Is that her 400 witnesses? Once Dolphin, she done made her an itemized request and gonna label them as witnesses. I'm joking, y'all don't know that for sure. She just made a statement one time she had 400 witnesses. Thus, the state contends it is on the same playing field as the defendant regarding discovery. I would say so, because they have to go through it as well. Like we just said, it's not just jumping out of the pages at them. She points out that on September 4th of 2024, at approximately the same time as its discovery deadline, it provided the defendant with a 320-page index identifying the location of requested discovery and a description of the evidence and the date discovered. Damn, it provided the defendant with that. In addition, all of the evidence received from the FBI, which compromises the majority, no shit, was provided to defendant with a searchable index.
Mhm.
Okay, so is our autism in the way here?
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't the first time that they've told them that in the
Yep, it's
documents.
not the first time. You're right, and they're reiterating it, and and each time they do it, they tell you a little bit more about what they actually did to help them out. And it's like, what? In some, the state asserts it has provided everything required under ICR 16A and Brady and disputes that it has engaged in any discovery violation. Now, if the defense tells me, the judge, yes, this is true, this is everything I've received, just like it just laid out that I read, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be kind of back at them like, are y'all crazy?
Mhm.
Show me the violation.
Yeah.
Where was the said violation? You got to prove that a violation occurred, right? Um, them giving you something beyond a deadline, there's your violation. But anyway, There are three components of a true Brady violation. They go into that, and I'm not going to read all that. Where was it? Okay, we're only on page 5 here. The state received the information from its investigation agencies, labeled the materials, and turned them over to the defendant through a shared access drive in the same format as received. This method not only puts the state and the defendant on equal footing regarding discovery review, it also serves the important purpose of protecting against claims of missing or manipulated documents if the state puts them in a direct. I'm glad they said that, because we
Mm-hmm.
got manipulated documents all over the Delphi case. I am so glad to see that, because that shit scares me and I don't fucking like it. I'm going to get real salty on that, so I need to get off of it right now. Okay, thank you for doing that. Y'all need to get with the day's age and get with the fucking times. While the state acknowledges that much of the discovery is completely irrelevant, including surveillance videos and data from the numerous phones, computers, and other devices, it did not produce, for its purposes of padding the file or otherwise attempting in bad faith to hide Brady information in its haystack of information. Rather, defendant asked for everything, and everything is what he received.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this judge, I like his salty ass.
Yeah, I do too. I
All day
actually,
twice on Sunday.
who
Damn it.
was it? There was some, the Ray, some of the Ray testimony, and then when Anne was talking about it,
Mhm.
still, and Hippler was kind of like, "What
Yeah,
don't you understand about this?" The
yeah.
7 days and all this, and I just was laughing. It was so entertaining
So
to
funny.
watch it again.
To watch it again, it's just like it was just so. It is. And you're right, because he's not playing her game. I don't mean to come
Mm-mm.
at you, Anne, but I liked you as an. I still like you as an attorney. Don't get me wrong. I like a good defense attorney. I honestly do. I like to see a little fire somewhere. I don't. I can't get into
Yeah,
it.
but
I don't. But he's gets salty right back with her. Where Judge was like, I don't know. You're wrong
he's
ruling.
keeping her on her toes, or
Yes, he
he's
is.
throwing her off her game because he'll come right back at her with something, really quickly, and she'll just be standing there like,
Well, if she had something, she would be able to come right back at him, and
mhm,
he knows it. And he
yeah,
knows it. And she's going to be like, oh, that deer in the headlights bullshit, you
mhm,
know? What do
mhm.
I do now? Turn around and look at Alyssa or whatever her name is, and
Who's sitting there smiling all the time, like a nut.
turn around and look at your defendant client, ask him, what do I do next? What am I supposed to say now? Um, Pokemon, I agree. I think if there is manipulated or altered video or audio, the original should be played as well. Amen, sister. Let's scream it for the people in the back. Delphi, assholes. Okay. Defendant has not produced any evidence showing the state has all that. Okay. Where was I at? Oh, he called him out and said he got everything. I lost my spot, y'all. I got excited and stuff. Um, oh, okay, it was up here. In addition, the discovery from the FBI further states experts. Okay. In addition, defendant complaints of being unable to meaningfully review discovery ring hollow. Hang on, I missed a whole section.
Oh, I'm not even sure where you stopped. I wasn't looking at the
Right
screen.
here. When he read everything and he received everything, and I started laughing. Okay. Defendant cannot demand everything under the sun and then complain about the weight of all the planets. Holy shit.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Judge Hippler. I bet you're a funny man to sit around and have a dinner or, I guess, a drink with. I don't drink, but I'll sit around while you have one. I mean, shit. Eat me a gummy and I probably laugh my ass off at this dude. He's probably a good conversationalist,
Oh,
actually.
yeah. Mhm.
Right? I love a
Yeah.
good conversationalist. That shit gets me going. I'm weird. Moreover, defendant has not produced any evidence showing the state has hidden Brady material or made his access to discovery unduly erroneous. Although the state did not provide all of the discovery in a searchable format, as it was not received by the state in such a format, it provided a 320-page index identifying the specific location of evidence produced in response to the defendant's 400 individual discovery request. A description of the evidence, blah, blah, blah. We heard all that already, what the FBI gave them and all that. Here's the other part. Let's see. Brady material in the video surveillance footage, and that specifically identified in motion practice, and its experts who have reviewed all the cell phone and other digital data in the case have opined they found no connection linking defendant to devices and data analyzed. They were talking, it says in here, what was it? Where's it at? Because it says there's over 60 devices.
Oh, yeah, and apps. It's not all devices.
Devices and apps, right?
Yeah.
So out of all the digital analyzation they've done so far, there's no digital connection. Am I reading that right?
Oh, girl, this laptop screen I have, it's
No, I mean that not that.
small.
Am I reading the picture correctly?
I can't see it. That's
No,
what
not this. I mean, do you think that Brian Koberger, they're saying he's got no digital connection on anything, no devices, nowhere? Um, that's what I'm asking you. Let's see. I'll reread this because
where's the paragraph you were at? I was trying to
defendant
glance
has not
down at it.
identified. I'm on page 6. It starts in addition at the very bottom of page 6, actually.
Oh,
In
okay.
Yeah, in defendant's complaints of being unable to meaningfully review Discovery Ring Hollow, defendant has been receiving discovery in the same manner for over 2 years. In this time, he has not sought a remedy from the court. Oh, wait. No, I lied to you. Sorry. Go back up one. Where it says defendant's 400 individual requests, a description, then I skipped down to further the state has stipulated that it is unaware of the Brady. It's, okay, and its experts reviewed the cell phone data. And, shit. Right here. And its experts who have reviewed all the cell phone and other digital data in the case have opined they have found no connection linking defendant to the devices and data analyzed. So, out of everything they've analyzed, nothing connects him to the devices, right?
Wait a minute. Don't they have devices that they got from him?
Yeah,
They got his
read
phone
that.
off of him. They got computers and
Yeah.
all kinds of hard
So,
drives or flash drives off, well,
so
external
was
hard
he?
drives
Yeah,
and
but
all that off of him.
was he under a fake account or hiding his encrypt? Was he doing encrypted shit? Hold on. Further, the state has stipulated that it is unaware of any Brady material in the video surveillance footage, other than that specifically identified in motion practice. And its experts who have reviewed all. Okay, so they've also turned this over as Brady. And its experts who have reviewed all the cell phone and other digital data in the case have opined they have found no connection linking defendant to the devices and data analyzed. No connection between Brian Koberg and any of the digital evidence they have.
Maybe they're talking about the victim's devices. I don't know, because when they keep saying no connection, that's
Okay,
what they,
that's fine as
meant in
well.
the past.
So that was the first thing I thought of. That was the first. So that's what I was asking you, if they found no connection. So if it's talking about the victim's devices and there's no connection out of the 60 they are analyzing in this document or talking about, then how was he following them? And like somebody suggested earlier in the chat, was it just around
Old
town on
school.
foot? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, like seriously, what would be your how would you think he would get away with it? That's my thought. How did this dude get away with that? What did he do? Because
I
I'm still
mean,
thinking there's a
old
good
school.
possibility he did all this. So I'm like, he's digital cloud evidence guy. He This is his jam. He took that cell phone for a reason. If he's the guy, I know he took it for a reason. There was a plan, and apparently that's being laid out before us. He already knows that grainy footage is going to be grainy footage of that car, and I can probably dispute a lot of this shit. Look what's happening in Karen Reed now with Celebrate guys and all these guys. Holy shit! They used Ray's technology to locate John's phone in the first trial. Okay.
Yeah, but, what do you call it? Like, maybe he's just, like, literally doing it old school or,
That's what we
quote,
were saying.
unquote,
Yeah.
"analog way." Like, let's say, for
Mhm.
example, he, I gotta go back to this stupid what is it? The Mad Greek restaurant, because literally, when you look up, vegan restaurants or whatever in that area, it comes up. So,
Right.
if you just moved there, it's like, "Oh,
Well,
okay, great. Let me go to this one." So who's to say he didn't see her work there?
that's what we had talked
And
about.
then, like, waits till
Mhm.
she gets off work and, like, literally follows her home,
And who was it that who said that first off in chat this morning?
with
That
his cell phone turned off.
yeah,
I mean, but
because
obviously
well,
he
you
had
and
it
I
on
also
sometimes,
have discussed, the fact that getting ready to move to a whole new state, whole new town, whole new school, first time on your own, you're a vegan, you're this, you're that, you're a hiker. Are you going to start searching around for things to do, places to go, places to eat? Did he see something online that he liked before he ever left the state of Pennsylvania? Did he stumble
Oh,
upon
yeah, I
a
totally
little
think he did.
restaurant, right? Come across this little vegan restaurant over there in Moscow, right there next door. Cute little girls working in there. Huh. I may have to check that out when I get there. But let me go ahead and purchase my Kmart. Well,
8 months before. No, I mean, because think about it, like, with his Tappa Talks and whatnot, look at how, when he was talking about his visual snow, he's the kind of person that's, like, likes to do his research. He reminds me of me in that respect.
right,
He's, like,
right.
totally digging or whatever. So, yeah, he's never lived away from home in his life. He's never, like, lived in the state of Washington. I can totally see this man doing the research, trying to see, oh, well, what's around the campus? Oh, there are two college towns, right next door to each other. Oh, well, maybe something that's lacking on WSU's campus, there's something over on, the other side, that has what I need or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure he probably researched like areas to hike,
Well,
around there and all kinds of stuff. So,
it was
yeah.
serious this morning when we first opened up the conversation, waiting on you to
Mhm.
get settled in.
Mhm.
Um, I had mentioned that this crazy no connection stuff, but Sirius Black agrees. I think he was watching them on his trips to Moscow, and maybe even attempting to put something in their house. We all wondered, had he been in that house at some point,
Mhm.
or did he just go online and search the floor plan? But somebody, who the hell was that this morning? I listened to, and I thought, wow, Joseph Scott Morgan.
Oh, love
Okay.
him.
Here was a thought that he had. It's never dawned on me in this way.
Mhm.
Of course, we've thought, did he make his way into the house at one of the Wild House parties that we saw, parties when the people who lived there weren't even home? So don't
Mhm.
tell me he couldn't have snuck around in there for a hot minute and blah, blah, blah. He could have. He could have
Mhm.
also went online and found the floor plan just like we all did.
Right.
Done a lot of things. But he said, do you remember the video the girls posted to Instagram where they were making fun of each other? Of
Mhm.
course we do. Who follows this case doesn't know that video, right?
Mhm.
He said, imagine you can see that, but you can also see the inside of that home pretty
Oh,
well
yeah.
and
Yep.
get a good gist of the layout. And
Mhm.
I thought, damn, and all the times they all posted. Now, I say they got no connection. That doesn't mean he was looking at shit through an encrypted service. Don't think it doesn't exist, and don't think Koberger's not aware of them.
Mhm.
Stefan Stearns is aware of one. I'm going to say Koberger's aware of several. Okay. So, yeah, oops, shit, hold on. My dog was trying to get my nerves. She was trying to get my attention. I'm sorry. She was irritating me.
Mine is over here getting ready to start snoring like
This one
crazy.
was wanting to go
She's right
outside.
next to me.
She ran off though. I was like, okay, I think she wants to go outside. Let's see who's in here this morning. Oh, good morning, Firefly. Uh-oh, she's coming in to give us a like and then she's off. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Good morning, Joe. All right. So this document is pretty much so there's no connection between him and these digital devices they were analyzing. Um,
Oh.
ugh, keep- in addition, defendant complaints of being unable to meaningfully review the discovery ring. Okay, I've read that part. He also has sought no additional resources under ICR 12.2 to hire additional staff to review. What? He has not sought additional resources under ICR 12.2. 12.2, huh? To
Yeah,
hire
that's
additional
when
staff.
the judge called her out and said, "You've had all this time and not once have you
I didn't
mentioned
catch
that you
that.
needed help." Mhm.
Well, I heard him say that, but I figured she'd already exhausted any avenues she had at her resource. That's what I would assume. She's smart. Come on, Anne. You should know better. You're the top death penalty attorney in that region. Don't play with me. Don't toy with my emotions, Miss Ann Taylor. Well, I don't know. Lately, I'm wondering if you know the law. Y'all did cite some 1800 shit almost a year ago in this case. I had questions at that point. I thought them days were over. Okay, I'm not even going to reread that shit. They can't do nothing, apparently. His lead counsel insisted that she be allowed to take on a second high. Whoa, she insisted on taking on Tyler Mead? Skylar Mead, I mean? His lead
The other death
Why would
penalty
she do that?
case.
No, why? Wait. Ann, I'm seeing you in a whole new light, Miss Death Penalty Stand Silent in Idaho lady with a
Because
smile on
that's
your
just another excuse.
Is it an excuse or no? This lady's got high profile capital murder cases on her hands and she is loving it. She's a
Right,
lawyer.
but it's an excuse to buy him more time to try and say, "Oh, I can't
Oh,
be an
I get
effective
what her
counsel
excuses
because,
are, but I'm seeing past her bullshit. She's not
Mhm.
even thinking about Brian Koberger at that point. She's thinking about Ann Taylor. And Taylor's got a career path and she's just getting handed no, I see you, lady. Okay, checkmate, Ann Taylor. Um, that's just my thought on it. Uh, okay, so she insisted on taking. Why does it keep doing this? My thing keeps messing up and I can't get lost on my page. Um, okay, under the code. Da, 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 da. In fact, the evident. Okay, why in the hell am I doing that? Okay, I'll go back to here. Further, at oral argument, lead counsel indicated that her practice is to personally review all the discovery herself, rather than rely on associates and staff to review materials to cut through the less relevant information and point what materials need reviewed by lead counsel. These actions are not indicative and overburdened defense team. In fact, it is evident defendant has been able to capably navigate the discovery given his more than robust motion practice, the scope and breadth of the experts retained in the disclosures. I'm still like, lady, are you kidding me? His lead counsel insisted that she be allowed to take on a second high profile capital case despite it. No. Skylar Mead straight up did what he did, and you know it. We got video footage. He escaped from prison while going to the hospital. His buddy helped break him out. Then they went on a murder spree,
Mm.
all right there in Idaho. Right there in Idaho, Ann, your hometown. And he's going to stand silent. She's going to stand beside him and say, "Yes, Your Honor, my client stands silent," for the second time in a row. Okay. Such an. Okay. Wow. So don't use that for an excuse to take your eyes off your. Nobody cares about Skylar Mead out here on these YouTube streets. Trust me. They're like, what? Oh, that's her tattooed up dude. Oh, we don't want to look at that. That's weird. Oh, he stood silent too. Holy shit, what? So did Lori Vallow. It's Idaho. Okay, that's enough of that. That's weird. Ann Taylor. All right, guys. So that's down. What? Any more thoughts on that, Dolphin? On that conversation?
No, sorry, I'm gonna have to go back and read that document because I didn't really
Wasn't
uh
paying attention, was you?
pay attention to it all the way. Yeah, no,
It's not a lot in there. There's not a lot in there. The judge just tells them, "You're crazy. You received all your shit." And then he lays out exactly what they
hmm
got, said what he said, and then, but yeah, the only part that got me was the no connection. The only really
Yeah, that's what I
important thing
wanted to
I
go
took,
back and look
yeah.
at.
And it says there's no connection between it says the defendant and the cell phones and the data now. So I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't specify whose. But maybe if you go back and read it and get a new take on it, let me know for sure.
hmm
Um, there's not, Joe. There's not a ton. They have a little issue, just like in Idaho, with a lot of states, with maintaining and retaining good attorneys. There's only a few, and Ann Taylor is the top one in Idaho on that in that region. She gets them all. That's why she knows what to file in these cases. You can't just give a death penalty case to any regular old lawyer. A good criminal defense attorney still is going to need a death penalty attorney to weigh in. Florida has a ton of them, right? Because that death penalty's been
hmm
here forever. So we have good ones, really good ones. Sometimes that's unfortunate, but yeah. Don't think some of this shit that Stephon Stearns is being charged with and will be found guilty of is not the first time. Is going to be the first time in the state. So guess what that means is to follow. Supreme Court appeals are coming. They already don't like that law he's getting punished under,
Oh
which
yeah,
is, yeah, the law for harming
for
Maddie
his
and her age,
CSAM. Yeah.
her being under 13 years old and
hmm
everything. And all so the laws that are in place now to protect Maddie and kids like Maddie all across the state have never been challenged yet because they're new. And Stephon Stearns is lit. There was one more guy ahead of Stearns, and they were going to go to the Supreme Court with it, but they ended up with, like, I think a plea with that guy, right? Like a plea deal type shit would happen instead. So that case went nowhere. So
hmm
Stearns will literally be the first one, and his attorneys are already showing me that these attorneys are attorneys. They're looking for cases like this to make a name for themselves. They're not doing it because they know they got to go in there and be effective counsel. Shit, no. You see how some of them operate? See how Stearns's are operating right now? We want this whole ass phone stuff thrown out. 1,500 images of child sexual assault material thrown out. Illegal search and seizure. Okay. Please. It's so crazy. Like we're like, in some cases we're like, oh, you can't do that illegal search and seizure, and in some we're like, oh, we'll turn our heads. Oh God, that's crazy. All right, guys. So
Quick question: are they not
yeah,
having the Karen Reed trial today?
no, it's a day off. We all needed a
Oh,
break.
okay.
We Bev's like, look, it's just too much. I got to have a pool day. So
I see.
I picture Bev by the pool, I guess, with a white claw. I've accepted that image. I'm
Yeah, I'm
trying.
not sure. What do you call it? I was supposed to be going to lunch with somebody at 12:30, but I haven't heard from them yet. So,
I'm about to do a Lori Vallow update, and then we're going to get into a little Karen Reed recap and just have a little. I'm not going to be here all day. I've been here every day, all day for however long Lori was, and however long are into this one
hmm
now, and all the stuff in between. So, I just wanted to go over a couple things. Get that document read done. We haven't really looked at that yet here. That air mail article thing was interesting though. So you didn't do you want me to play the drunk turkey thing and let you got time to review that, or are you gonna go? What do you
oh,
guys
I can.
do?
Yeah, I can
Let's
review
do
it.
that because it's
Yeah,
he said some shit, Dolphin, that was like, what? Howard Bloom, who is your source? Right?
yeah. I
Who have
so
you been
that
talking to?
what do you
And you
call
know
it?
he's got them. We honestly do know the man's got some, and one of his was right out of the TikTok world.
Yeah, too bad that he can't. When he gets on mainstream media interviews, he can't get all his facts. Can't remember everything.
Exactly. You can
Or
see a
whatever,
little
because sometimes he
detail.
does flub stuff, but
I love
like I
yeah.
said, I this book is about 5 hours, and I had it going, and I think I had it was gonna save to my
Excuse me.
OneDrive, but there wasn't enough room. So by the time it finished, it wouldn't save it. So I was like,
Oh
"Ah, shoot."
no.
So I switched it to my, one of my hard drives, and then I was like, "Okay, let's start it again." So it's playing now, to record. So, but I was sort of paying attention to it, and I said, "Oh, he's got some interesting stuff in here." In the book, he actually said which Koberger sister it was who,
Oh
was
really?
suspicious of him. He said it was the oldest one,
I,
the one that lived in
really?
New Jersey, who was home for Christmas, Melissa.
Melissa's what we always heard.
Oh, I thought everybody was saying it was the younger one,
I think
the one
people
that tried
really
to be an actress
I think people assumed that because of that actress
because
thing.
she's lived there.
Yeah, and that
Mhm.
too, but a lot of it was put into that movie, right? And
Mhm.
uh I think Melissa is the one on TikTok. Or I can't remember which one's on that TikTok account now. Anyway, I'd have to
I
go back
think
and
that's the
look.
younger one, Amanda.
I haven't been on my TikTok in so damn long, but I know that one. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know which. Yeah, maybe it was. Well, that's interesting because we've always wondered really which sister would it be. Now, which one did he ended up stealing the iPhone from?
I
Was that
think
the
that
old,
was the younger one,
the younger one?
Melissa. Well, the younger of the two. They're both
Yeah,
older
yeah,
than him, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was
Gotcha.
Amanda.
I was
Um,
always curious about that. Which sister was the suspicious one at dinner at Thanksgiving? Was it the one who got her phone
Christmas.
stolen,
Mhm.
or was it the other one? Or
Mhm.
did they both feel some kind of way about their brother? Because I picture doing like victimology and then trying to do like a profile on him, maybe in
Mhm.
his little family unit. As more was coming out over the past 2 years, I kind of pictured a scenario where maybe the girls were like daddy's girls
Mhm.
because little brother took up all of mama's time. And
Yeah, she
mama babied
definitely,
that baby to no
babied him.
end, right?
Mhm.
She double babied him. One, because he was her baby, that was her only boy,
Mhm.
and something was not right with him. You
Yeah.
So, you love them a little harder. We all do. But yeah, was it that kind of a situation? So were the girls always at odds with this brother? He was probably
Could have
always doing
been.
little meltdowns, and was he having little weird episodes? And was
Mm.
he being Brian? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being Brian.
Uh, Real Happy wants to know, do we know the age difference, between
Now,
him
I
and his
don't really
sisters?
know.
I
So
did look it up a long time ago. I
yeah,
wanna
I
say
feel
that
like just a
Melissa
few
was 3
years.
years
Yeah,
older than him, and I think the oldest one is, like, maybe 6 years
yeah,
older than
I
him.
think it's close to what Dolphin just said for both of them. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
They're not, terrible age differences. They're pretty
And the
close.
oldest one, according to Blum in this book, mentioned, her suspicions to the dad, and he
Yes.
wasn't really trying to hear it. But she was talking about the fact that he was, vacuuming out the car with the shop vac and white gloves, and
Yeah.
doing all kinds of other weird stuff.
And Dad, you got to take into account. Dad just finished that. Had recently done the long trip with his son
And
back
he was
across
feeling a certain
some
type
kind
of
of way.
way
Yeah.
about him too during,
He
yeah.
already had that
Mhm.
feeling, and then sister comes
Mhm.
out and says, "Hey, Dad." Dad's like, "Oh,
Right.
don't want to hear it. Your mom is gonna flip and lose her shit."
Mhm.
Ah, here we go.
'Cause see, this is the thing, a lot of people wanna, uh I guess because of all the rumors and everything, a lot of people wanna dismiss certain things that, they've
Yeah,
heard, and they're like,
yeah,
"Oh, where's Blum getting his information? There's a gag order, blah, blah, blah." But you gotta remember, this guy was on the scene very, very early on, so in the book, it says he was, like, having coffees, because he
yeah.
went to Moscow. He was having coffee with people, dinners with people.
Mm,
He talked to Koberger's extended family, like, the relatives and like aunt, uncle, those kind of people, neighbors. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that
yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah, I see that.
You could
Couple
see,
things that, it's like, okay, you're a little
right.
off about that, but
Yeah. Yeah, I could totally see that. Some of the things that I have reviewed in the past that he's done turns out to be pretty close to spot on. Not maybe not spot
Mhm.
on, that's not the correct term, but pretty close, right? And it's no secret the man's got some sources. And I'm not just
Mhm.
talking when I say TikTok, I'm not making fun of him because he literally did get some evidence once from a TikToker who decided it was okay to expose private messages she had with Steve Goncalves.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they ended up in Howard's book. Um, so there's that. But outside of that, law enforcement and other sources, and yes, and the families, yes, they
Mhm.
absolutely. These journalists have their ways, Don't let them.
Yeah.
How do they all
He
get their
mentioned his
information?
grandparents and,
Hmm.
all kinds of different things,
And he may
that
not be the only one interested in Brian Koberger in this way.
Mhm.
His old professor may be just as interested.
Apparently she is, because she was the first call that the parents got,
Girl,
when
we're
he got
about to hear
arrested.
about that. That's what I want
Mhm.
to review.
Oh,
So,
okay.
okay, so one of my mods, Pokemon Butterfly, if y'all could drop Drunk Turkey's link in here. Let me make sure I got that show saved or pulled up. It was a video, maybe. Let me go look. Let me see. I think I saved it for today. Let me look at my thing.
Yeah, I would say, real happy. I would say that the book, it was decent. Like I said, I was listening to an audio. I prefer to read books, but like I said, I was trying to snatch this audio copy really quick and save it because I really didn't feel like paying this man any money. Um, but yeah, and I was doing something else while I was, listening to it, while it was recording. So, and then my recording messed up, so I started listening to it a little bit again. I probably do need to just sit down, not do anything else, and listen to it all the way, like really focus on it. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there. All about him. I mean, they literally start from, his family, his grandparents, his aunts and uncles,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. They start pretty much from the beginning. And I knew his dad had filed for bankruptcy, but they said he filed the year after Brian was born. And then, like, again, I think, like, maybe when he was in high school or,
Hmm.
whatever. And so basically, the dad was upset that, he wasn't able to give him everything, that he wanted to when he was growing up. So,
Yeah.
because money was tight and,
Yeah. Now, so for those of you who don't know, I hasn't Drunk Turkey has interviewed Bloom, not but a couple of times, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah, I think so.
So both of my mods were awesome enough to drop the link in the chat to Drunk Turkey
Mhm.
Show. You guys, if you haven't ever checked him out, I'm sure a lot of you have, and and probably do. Go check him out. But you can find those interviews, I'm sure, on his playlist over there somewhere. So this is a video that he put out, and he's going to talk about what was in that airmail article that I was telling you about. And
Mhm.
we can talk. I'm going to. Daniels doesn't talk fast, so we'll speed him up a little bit here. We'll go to 1.25 with him. All right, here we go. Can we hear it? Let's see.
That just dropped. It's an
Mhm.
airmail article from Howard Bloom referencing this case. And so I highly recommend going through and reading the entire thing. It's called Eyes of Killer Part 6, maybe. I don't know my numerals. More than 2 years after the murders in the University of Idaho, students, prosecutors are ready to offer a motive. All right. So this is the motive. This is what he thinks is the reason why Brian Koberger committed this crime. Uh, let's see. Then he found his calling, forensic psychology, the new science of exploring dark caverns lurking in the recess of criminal minds.
Hold on. He's reading fast. I forgot. Go back to normal, Daniel. Good. All right. So he's not. Let me. All right. Of course, you. Never mind. I almost cussed out the computer.
Calling forensic psychology, the new science of exploring dark caverns lurking in the recess of criminal minds. And as luck would have it, he found an unlikely friend, a champion to guide him, Catherine Ramsland. It's interesting. Obviously, now we found out that he's purchased the K-bar knife and much of his kill kit before he's even moved down there. And so now Howard Bloom's theory kind of makes sense. He's getting this idea of doing this because of maybe his surroundings. During this time while he's in DeSales, I don't think he's going through much adversity. Right. It wasn't like he was at Northampton where he was getting in trouble with some of the girls. At the sales, it was online for the most part. Some of it was in class, but for the most part, it was online. His teacher or professor, Miss, I think it was Bolger or something like that nature. The female professor who ended up recommending him to the PhD program there at WSU, who'd only recommended 2 students in her entire career, stated that she had never met Brian Koberger in person, that their class was online. And a lot of that had to do with what, between 2021, 2022 was COVID, and people were stuck indoors and things of that nature. And so he got this idea then. Now, I do think that maybe perhaps everything that was falling apart, he applied for a position at Pullman Police Department as an intern police officer. Now, we know that he applied sometime in the spring because there was an email of him talking about his application with the police chief of Pullman Police at the time. We then find out in the PCA, it specifies that he wrote an essay in the fall as he applied in the fall. So it sounds like to me that he didn't get the position in the spring. Because why would you apply again for the fall? Now, he had some issues, as Howard Bloom mentioned, heroin addict. He had some problems at his school, problems at Northampton. He got kicked out of law enforcement school. He had to finish his junior year school. He didn't finish his junior year there. They kicked him out of law enforcement, put him in the HVAC class, and he didn't even finish that. They stopped him from finishing school his junior year. He went online, and his entire senior year was online. And so you have all these issues that were coming up. That doesn't make you a prime candidate for an intern police officer, for police officer, period. Now, there are background checks. I went and searched this for Pullman Police Department. If they do a background check for intern police officers, and they do one just as thorough as if they were going to be hired on as a police officer. He gets there. He's at WSU. He's fighting with his professor right away. Problems right away. All those things were happening in his life. I felt that maybe that was the things that just kind of pushed him over the edge. That's where I was at. But this here sounds like he's looking up to maybe not necessarily Catherine Ramsland, but maybe some of the work and the persons that she's worked around with. Like maybe he's trying to grab her attention. Let's read this. Let's continue this. Sorry for the long pause in explaining my theory before we go into his. Let's see, but let's read this. It says, a recognized authority in psychological study of serial killers, a prolific author of at recent count 59 books, and familiar face in the true crime network and cable shows, where she reliably brings a measure of academic gravitas to the proceedings. The professor has done it all and has new.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. I just dropped the link. It should be the link straight to that Ashley Banfield interview with Steve, for those of you who want to go check it out. Thank you, Dolphin.
This week first revealed at the time of Koberger's arrest, Ramsland was also his teacher for a graduate class she taught at DeSales. He'd read her seminal work, Inside the Minds of a Serial Killer, Why They Kill, and Confessions of a Serial Killer, The Untold Story of Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer. I wonder if one of these books here are the ones that have the underlying page 118. You know what I'm saying?
I have to say, when I was reviewing this early this morning, sitting out back, I was like, damn, Daniel, me too now. Because I've always wanted to know what was underlined on page 118 and what was the significance here. Why was it taken into evidence?
Hopefully we will find out if they bring everything in.
If it's relevant, if they're allowed to bring in these scenarios leading up to this man's it depends on what the judge allows in eventually. But yeah, I always wanted to know what was underlined on page 118 and what is it from. I read page 118 of Eliot's manifesto. And that was a weird ass page. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, but it was relevant though.
It was very relevant. That's what I was about to say, Dolphin. It could apply.
Yeah.
So what was in these two books? Now I got to go figure that out. These two books.
The other thing is I wanted to see what it was that they took a photo of in his house that they couldn't take.
That they left behind. Whatever it was, they have taken a photo of it and then left it there.
Oh, wait a minute. I know what it is.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
It just popped in my head. Remember the iPad?
Yes.
that they found in the house, but because it was in a common area, they couldn't take it or
Yeah.
whatever because the warrant,
Yeah.
wouldn't have allowed it. I bet you that's what they took the photo of.
And then they got a warrant
And
eventually
then they
to
went
look
on.
at the
Yep.
cloud.
Yep.
And
Yeah. It just
we have been
dawned
puzzled
on
by
me.
that for 2.5 freaking years. What would they possibly take a damn picture of but leave?
Because I thought it
A
was something on the
drawing on the wall,
wall.
right?
Yeah.
A significant drawing on the wall that might have been drawn on the wall in Maddie's room. I don't know. See, I have a conspiracy brain too. It would work in odd ways. All right.
Yeah, but I bet you that's what it is.
Yeah. So I still want to know. I hope they let it in, whatever it is, so I can figure it out one day.
Because if he is trying to grasp her attention, right, or he's wanting to have her look into him, because she only looks at the prolific serial killers, and maybe perhaps he doesn't want her to catch him, but he wants to be the one that stumps her. I wonder what he would have highlighted. I wonder if it's one of these books. Now, this is all my opinion, so
Get your banner
take that
up.
for what it is. In fact, let me put my little banner up real quick.
There you go.
Yeah, what the prosecution discovered, which has not been previously reported, is that Koberger's relationship and League with Ramsland did not end when he traveled across country to enroll in the PhD criminal justice program at Washington State University. He remained her at
Uh-oh. Something had just happened. What did just happen? What's going on there?
late. Koberger was allegedly emailing his old professor in the days before the murders occurred and in the days immediately after.
Emailing her about what?
Exactly. Hold on. Yeah, Dolphin, email all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden because he's not been in school very long in Washington, but yeah, emailing her days before and days after. What were those emails
what did they have
about?
to talk about? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
What were they about, and did she respond? Did she respond in any way? What was what were those email exchanges? I want to see those too.
Yeah. I don't
I
think we
can't
know
with
how
his
many grad
face.
schools he applied to. I don't think I've ever seen anything
Dude,
that
I don't
said
think
that.
he had to try hard, Dolphin, because he was so highly recommended for the damn program. So it kind of tells me that probably led him to that school because of the program and what he could benefit from there. I think that might have been the driving factor. I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but I've often wondered myself, But hey, flip flops, welcome in. But yeah, why email your old professor within days of and days after the crimes?
Crazy. That's crazy. I wonder what is the gist of those emails. I wonder what. Man,
Me too, Daniel.
I hope that's
Call
something
your
that is
friend
shown
Blum
in court.
and
But to me,
ask.
this is
If we get them, we'll read them
this
together.
is interesting.
Shit,
This could
play
actually
roles.
point towards that motive because
I'll be
again,
Catherine. He can be
much if not
Koberger.
all of the stuff that he purchased to commit this crime was purchased while he was in Pennsylvania. And this is Dr. Ramsland there. What was discussed remains, for now at least, another mystery. Neither the state nor Ramsland has responded to the request for comment. Nevertheless, Airmail has learned that just hours after Koberger's arrest, Ramsland allegedly telephoned his mother to offer her wisdom and guidance to help her former student and his family through the looming ordeal. Her offer to act as the cool-headed broker for the Kobergers was quickly accepted. The Kobergers supposedly refused
to act as the cool-headed broker of what? How to navigate this mess?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all it can mean.
supposedly refused to meet with her son's court-appointed Pennsylvania attorney until Ramsland signed off. That is weird. I'm just gonna say that's weird. I mean, this is like this is my opinion. I feel like this is like a weird thing. I don't like it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like it. I don't like this. I mean, the optics of this is like weird. This is weird. He wants to nail her down to write about him. I agree, Dr. Vaughn. I agree 100%. That is exactly what he's wanting to
Yes, Dr.
do.
Bona.
And I think he would
I
have
agree
wanted
with
her to
that
write
too.
about him. Maybe that's what he's talking about in those emails.
Okay,
If in the
so
email correspondence after the murders were about the murders,
you think it's weird that she's corresponding with the family like that? Like almost immediately,
Oh,
like
that's opportunistic.
so opportunistic,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, here I am, you know. Of course, she's going to be all, oh, look, I can't honestly blame the lady. This is what you do, this is her wheelhouse.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, one of her students is accused of what? Heck,
Yeah.
she wants to study that man's mind, y'all. Don't even, don't let her fool us for 1 second. But is it a good thing we have people like her? I don't know. Does it do us any good? Do we all take profiling of serial killers to out to the door with us every day, and we're profiling every guy we pass? You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
it matters to law enforcement when they're doing investigations. They take into account people like their profiling stuff. But yeah, lady, yeah, you did. Now I don't know about BTK getting half the profit or getting profits from her book she wrote on him, like some theorize happened, but I can't confirm that happened in that way. In that way, let me put it that way. So I don't know the gist behind all of that 100,000% to even speak on it. But you're going to hear other things somewhere else, I think. But yeah, let's see.
maybe he's trying to spark her interest into the murder so that she looks into it. All right, let's continue. Over 2 years that followed, the professor allegedly stayed in touch with the family as well as Koberger himself. Oh, wow. So she's still in touch with him, offering sources, share practical advice to help navigate the often overwhelming intricacies of the stern criminal justice apparatus. She's even reportedly conferred with one of the Koberger sisters, who is said to be writing an insider account of their wrenching family drama.
Now, didn't Bloom recently say in that interview that he confirmed that he said that before on Drunk Turkey, I think it was, that one of the sisters was writing the book? Or it was either
Mhm.
there or Megan, what's her name?
He
She might,
said it everywhere he's been,
yeah, because he goes,
basically.
I know he goes, because
Mhm.
it comes on my feed whenever
It's the same
that,
interview wherever he goes, pretty
yeah,
much.
he goes over to that girl's YouTube a lot. Megan Kelly, is that her name? That blonde-headed lady? Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, because when it comes on my feed, he's every time he's on there for some reason, it comes on my feed. I don't know why I see it, but I do. I guess because it's popular or something. I don't know. But yeah, he when he makes the rounds.
In fact, the beleaguered family has asked her to consider accompanying them to the Boise bed and breakfast that Ann Taylor, the head of their son's defense team, has reserved for them during the course of trial. So she's going to be sitting with them. She's going to be sitting with them on the side of Brian Koberger. She favors Brian Koberger. I wonder if, her alliance to him, I don't think means that she.
Y'all think that that's true? You think that she's going to go and sit on the side of Brian Koberger at court? How would you?
Yeah, anything to, get the book deals or whatever, get in
Yeah.
with them.
How would
Yeah.
that look? How would that look to a jury who
I
might
mean, they might not
recognize?
even realize who she is.
Right, they'd have to recognize her first, and you may
Mhm.
not know the face even if you knew the name.
Mhm.
You may never know that face if you're just a book reader and things of that nature, right? Like if you've read her BTK or whatever, you may not recognize the face. I don't know. It's crazy.
Thinks he's innocent. In fact, I think it would probably mean the opposite. I think that if this guy was innocent and she thought that, maybe she would probably speak out more, in my opinion. Be like, no, they're railroading this guy. I believe in his innocence, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that she's silent on it, so quiet,
She's silent because she may
doesn't
be
feel that way.
called to court.
Who? Carrie?
No, Ramslin.
Oh, yeah, she's not going to talk publicly.
Yeah, he's like,
If
oh, the fact
they,
that she's
yeah,
silent. Like,
if they expect her to talk publicly, they don't recognize what's happening or what's at play. And they do, but that there's a reason why she's not speaking publicly yet.
Hmm.
Yet, let's reiterate, yet. Um, she plays it well. She knows how to play this game.
Oh
Has
yeah, that
well
book is
done.
coming.
Shit, we got a whole ass TV team following Rex Heuermann's wife around,
Hmm.
and going to
Yeah.
court proceedings, following her to court hearings and shit. We can't even see Rex Heuermann court hearings on real TV because they won't allow cameras in there. But she can go get followed by her little camera crew. Okay, go Catherine Ramsland. Um, yeah, Carrie Rawson's been dark for a while, but Carrie does that. Carrie comes and goes. She's got a lot going on from what I hear. I don't know. She's here in Florida somewhere. Or was. I don't know.
Book deal, definitely. So this is my opinion. My opinion again. But she stayed in contact with him, and she's not arguing about his innocence. So I don't know. So her alliance with him isn't a sign that he's innocent. And I think it's probably more so that she wants another confessions book. Maybe
Ah, that's a good thought, Daniel. Like, because her BTK shit, her series there. It doesn't matter to her if he confesses to her or not. I think she thinks if there's a chance he does, she gets an insight to that mind. Because it's a mind game for this lady. She's a mind hunter.
maybe if he confesses
Mind of Brian
and wants to
Koberger
give the
is coming
details
Mark
about what he
Aldridge.
did, she wants to be the one to write it down and put it on a book about how he felt. I mean, I'm not sure
I want to read
how
it.
her story's going to go if
Okay, let me just get it out of my system. I want to read it because I've been studying the mind of this dude from day one. The minute I saw that picture of the guy arrested, I was like, whoa, where'd he come from? Who is that dude? How the hell? What the hell? Did he know him? All the things that got across your mind naturally. And then the more we found out, I'm like, for real? Is this really criminology student, all this kind of stuff? But the more the evidence was coming out in documents and the more things we were learning about his past, it all was like coming together way more than like Delphi and Reed. And Lori Vallow's a whole different beast because we all know what that bitch did. um, so she's in a whole league of her own over there. But other, three high profile cases, say for instance, Delphi, Karen Reed, and Brian Koberger. Out of the three, Brian Koberger is the only one I can pick as guilty. So, you know what I'm saying? If I had to pick
Hmm.
one, right? If it's like pick one, who's guilty of these three, it's going to be Brian Koberger, hands down. Uh,
Oh God, my foot.
so, anyway, let's let him continue.
if
I think Daniel's as confused as we are. Like, what's she doing here? What's going on?
he gets convicted and she thinks he's innocent. Like, what book she going to write? That's not her genre.
Or has questions like we do, I
That'd be
should
like
say. Not
me being a Steelers fan, then writing a book about the Indianapolis Colts or something random. It's still about football, but it's not my my audience. You get what I'm saying? And again, she's not out there fighting for his innocence. She's not declaring he's innocent, that, oh, I knew him, he couldn't have done this. Nothing, absolutely nothing, complete silence. And given the fact that she's had no problems, being cordial with serial killers and getting to know them, isn't a sign that she thinks he's innocent, in my opinion, at least. This could be like, all right, if this guy confesses, I want to be the guy I want to be the person that writes this down. This goes on to say, Koberger wanted to prove the pupil was ready to become the teacher. He was determined to demonstrate to the professor, who was, according to this theory, was the idolized object of his respect and affection. Interesting. That he learned all of her lessons well. And while journeying into hell and had been judicious, reaching out in letters and interviews to convicted killers, he would charge full speed into the belly of the beast. And he's right. He did. I mean, he's got her attention. She's giving him advice. She's, telling the family.
You have to think about this element to Brian Koberger. if he was super into what he was doing at school and all this criminal, and not only studying crime scenes, but studying the minds of killers. He'd already taken his psychology classes. He was working towards that degree in this stuff too, where they literally would go into profiling at some point and things of that nature. So I've always wondered, was his really already had a, he was already on a path, right? And did that path lead him to where he went, which was his studies, or did the studies lead him to where he went? I think where he was going and this it led him to what he ended up studying, and because he wanted to figure out his own mind. That's what I honestly think at this point. And impressing her, if your mind got that far gone, would be a high priority, because that's a game to these killers. They don't, it's not about making a huge impact and scaring the world. It's not like that. You know, look at some of the BTK's own writings. Look at Herman's shit. These guys don't give a fuck about society. You know, they all have their different motives and reasonings. What was Brian Koberger's motive? I just want to go after pretty blonde girls or something like that. Yeah, probably had a lot to do with it. That was his MO. They all have a different MO. Horman chose the sex workers because they were easy targets. They all go for different things. Look what Bundy chose. Into the minds of killers we go.
Only what to do, you know, as far as meeting the court-appointed attorney. You know, she might be going out to this bed and breakfast, which I don't know if that was necessarily the best thing to put out there. You know, I don't like Brian Koberger, but at the same time, I wouldn't want anybody to like attack his family at this bed and breakfast. He probably shouldn't have put, you know, just my opinion. I don't know if that's, because those things can be searched.
So they put it out there in that article that the doctor was going to go out to the trial and stay at the bed and breakfast with his parents that the defense has rented for them, reserved for them. Like, no, he's like, Tony, no, everybody don't go out. They're looking up this damn bed and breakfast. I was like, man, now you're giving them ideas, DT. Shh. Not everybody will think about it, but some of us will. But I personally won't do it because it's a waste of my time. I don't care where the bed and breakfast is, and I hope nobody else does. Because if y'all do, you're crazy.
Now, it's Boise, so there might be a few bed and breakfasts out there that you'd have to go through. But I think that you're funneling that through, and you know, I don't have anything against his family members, but even more, he'd kill and get away with it. He'd prove how smart he was. He would show how much he'd learned. And the hypothesis continued. With the raging, crackling anger that was unleashed, Koberger would demonstrate to the object of his devotion the sacrifices he was prepared to make to win her camaradereship. Now, let's think about this, right? So this is somebody he's probably looking up to, you know, really, really looking up to. And if he's doing well and she's writing like, you're doing a good job, Brian. And we've already seen where the defense stated that he had a problem with understanding friendship as romantic passes. I mean, it wasn't stated in that specific way, but it's...
You have to remember, so Dolphin, the time he was attending DeSales was during COVID, right? So a lot of his stuff there at DeSales was online. I don't know if Dolphin is still with us at the moment. But anyway, a lot of so when he attended the high school, or he had the issues, that was all in class. And then he moved to online classes after he ended up not completing the HVAC thing he was moved to once he was removed from the police program. So anyway, then he goes to the community college, and that's in person. But by the time he gets to DeSales, just about everything he had to do was online. And even the teacher who recommended him for the program out in Washington, it was the second time ever she's done that for a student, had never personally met him. She was only going by his studies and his numbers and, you know, his work. She wasn't basing it on some guy she was meeting face to face and had a feeling about, right?
Stated that not understanding romantic instances or whatever the case may have been, he may have taken those signs of like, hey, great job, good work, you got an A, as, you know, something more. You know, that's what it sounds like, at least. Like John Hinckley, who had tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan in the win to win the heart of actress Jodie Foster, a woman he'd never met. Koberger was driven by his own twisted erotomania. Erotomania. There we go. Koberger too would let his demons run free, and in the end, he'd triumph. His far vision would take him someplace where his mentor had never dared to journey, and in the proud aftermath with his struggles, he'd at last be complete. What does Ramsland make of it? She apparently not talking. She never responded to my emails. Nevertheless, she might find something in this theory. After all, in another episode in her remarkably accomplished life, she wrote her doctoral dissertation on Kierkegaard. It was that Danish philosopher who conceded that my writing should be considered a monument to Rain Olsen, a woman with whom he had a brief youthful relationship. Is it too far a stretch to consider that a killer's logic had made a similar heartfelt journey? Interesting.
Did he just imply he was falling in love with his teacher? I don't think so. Crazy. So what do y'all think? Y'all think that Ramsland hooked up with the family almost immediately and has like pretty much been right there the whole time, right? Taking notes, writing everything down, documenting, memorializing, all those things. Doing what she does. Do we blame her? Do we say, I don't? Not really. I mean, I can't. I don't. Who am I to knock the lady for doing her job? But damn, go sit behind him in the damn courtroom. I don't know. I wonder if there's some sort of objection the prosecution can make to that. What sort of argument would go behind that? You got to keep an eye out for that filing now, because if I was an attorney, I would be thinking about that one if I heard that information.
Oh, God, I had to get up. I'm back.
Oh, you're good. Girl, I've been saying a lot of stuff.
I figured. I'm just,
You know me.
I had
Talking out loud all the time. I can't help
nerve
it.
pain in my foot, and I was looking for
Oh,
my TENS
yeah.
unit. It was really bad. It was like the equivalent of a Charlie horse.
Oh, bless your heart. You got your TENS unit hooked up now?
Yeah,
Good.
thanks.
That's not cool at all.
I was muted, and I was over here screaming. I was just
Oh
like,
gosh,
God.
you do scream.
Yeah.
You can't help it. I
Mhm.
never had like a Charlie horse in my life till I was pregnant with my youngest kid. And I was like 39, mind you. But I was in bed one morning and I stretched. And when I did, my left calf went into this, I don't know what happened to it mode. And it was the worst thing I've ever had it was worse than labor. It was bad.
Yeah, they're pretty
Well,
bad.
yeah. And so since then, and it's been 18 years now, I have to be super careful. If I flex that leg out to stretch, I won't do that leg because I can feel it coming on, and I'm like, oh hell no, you're not. Not
Yeah.
today, not today, demon. No. I used to have one of those TENS units that came out by, what was it, Icy Hot, that adheres to your
Oh,
back.
okay. Mhm.
Yeah, and you had these little buttons. It was really cool because my
Was it
mom used to have
wireless?
yeah. My
Oh,
mom
okay.
used to have an old school one, right? Like back in
Yeah,
the
I've got the
day,
old school one with the wires hanging down.
Yeah. And so they have a little ice. I don't know if they still have them or not, but I had it for quite a while. But it would adhere. It was just like the sticky gel pad, right? And so it has the little electro pads on it. When you put it on, though, you could adjust the intensity. And I
Yep,
would
that's
wear
what I'm
it.
doing right now.
So my roommate's like hip was all bothering her back or whatever. Something was just driving her mad one night. So I'm like, look, try this shit out. So I put it on her, and it was turned up pretty good intensity because I can take it. I need a deep tissue. I don't need that soft stuff. I need deep, right? So I had it up there a pretty good bit. So I turned it on. It just like, I guess she thought it was electrocuting her. And she began to scream and run, screaming, take it off, turn it off. And I'm laughing so hard I couldn't turn it off. And I finally got it to go off, but it was the funniest thing. She didn't want no more to do with it. She was like, I'm done with your stupid thing. I was like, well, cool. Let me have it back. But yeah, so I hope that works for you because that's
Oh,
just
it does. I've had this thing
oh
since
my
my car
gosh.
accident, so
Yeah.
I just haven't been using it, but lately I'm having
Oh
to
no.
break it
Well,
out.
you got to get healed up now. You're about to go on a good little trip, so you need to be
I'm taking this with me.
all good. There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. You'll need it, right?
Mhm.
To relax at the end of the day.
No, to walk around and whatnot because I
It
can't,
can
like, walk long distances and stuff.
you can take it with you and use it while you're out.
Uh-huh.
So okay, cool. My mom's was like this suitcase looking thing that was like bulky and shit. I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought about getting a wireless one, but, what do you call
Mhm.
it? If I'm gonna be out for, like, a whole day or whatever, I don't want it to, break down on me or whatnot. Then
Oh
I'll really
yeah,
be in trouble.
yeah. Um, the one I was talking about has like little batteries in it. Like what was it? Watch batteries, maybe. I
Yeah,
can't
this has a 9 volt in the back, and
remember.
actually, I picked it up, but I don't know where the battery cover fell off, and I don't know
Yeah.
exactly where it is, so I was like, "Oh, well,
Okay.
I'll find it."
So anyway, I saw this morning. We all have seen. Well, which one do I want to play first? Hold on. I'll play Gigi's. Okay, so we've all seen, most of us have seen, if not, you're about to find out. Juror number 15 spoke out in the Lori Vallow Daybell case after her verdict was read. They all come out and had some words to say. Well, not all of them came out and talked, but 3 of them did. So we had those interviews were out there. There was one that seemed to be very talkative, number 15. Joe spoke about him a couple times because he was there at the trial and, gave us a little insight into that juror. So it was not really surprising that he came out and said things. And I'm going to show you a document that also came down after we look at this. And I'm going to show you a piece by Nate Eaton as well. All right, so
Oh, they wrapped her trial up?
oh yeah, it's been over. It was over right before Karen Reed started. That's how I'm able to cover
Uh,
it. Yeah,
what'd they give her?
I don't know, her sentencing won't be till after her next trial,
Mhm.
but she was found guilty. But
Ah, okay.
there was a holdout. There was a holdout. There were a couple of holdouts apparently to the very end. This one in particular, who made it known he was a holdout to the very end, was Juror 15. But Juror 15 also stated in a or an interview with the Fox News 10 local media there that did get broadcast nationally, did get clipped on YouTube, did get highlighted a little bit, but not I don't know how much beyond YouTube it went. Um, but someone saw it and notified the court,
Mhm.
who now wants Lori Vallow and her team to be notified, and they have got the video content and they need her to review it because it
Mm.
could, if true, cause a mistrial. So we're going to take a look at why.
Okay.
All right, Gigi, take it away, girlfriend. I hope your eye gets better soon.
What you know, alibis, hope you're having a good day. Check this out. Got a shiner, big swollen eye. Woke up that way. Would have been cooler if I said like I fought off a bear or got in a bar fight, but no. It's cellulitis and I'm on meds. But check this out. The court in Maricopa County received an email regarding Lori Daybell and the fact that they felt she needed to be made aware of a statement a juror made post verdict. I believe that statement was the juror was aware she had a life sentence already or something to that effect. And the court has requested that as of yesterday, Lori be provided with a copy of that video. We'll keep you posted on what happens. That's it for now. We'll see you soon.
The jurors walk out of the courthouse.
Okay, so before I show Nate, let me pull up this document because it's not long at all. It's like a little one pager and show you that. Let me get it pulled up before I open the screen. Okay. It was an hold on. Okay. So this is a post from Gigi's X account. And the document is in Maricopa County Superior Court of Arizona, Maricopa County. Honorable Judge Boreski, Arizona versus Daybell, obviously. Clerk of Court, and Trina Janelle K. And it's a minute entry into the docket. The court received an email on April 24th, 2025, forwarded from a court employee who was contacted about a video of a juror's post-verdict juror interview, which can be viewed starting at approximately 6.01.00 at, and they give the link. I typed in that link on YouTube, and it took me to all these links about how to make a YouTube video. I was like, what? Okay. But I didn't waste my time on it. This minute entry is intended to simply advise the parties of that this information has been provided to the court. The court requests that Ms. Daybell's advisory counsel or investigator provide Ms. Daybell with access to the video before 10 a.m. on April 29th, which is now passed. It is ordered directing the clerk of the court to file the email. The email was filed. So, you can damn well believe they're interviewing juror number 15 to see what he knew and when he knew it. Now, according to the other jurors that were released that day as well, that came out and spoke, perfectly believable. I've only seen, I think the older lady's done more interviews that I haven't seen. Tasha's done a couple I've seen. I got a lot of respect for her. They made it clear they didn't know anything about Lori Vallow. Tasha knew a little bit because her grandma knew stuff, but grandma and her did not talk about it. I believe her 1,000%. I had no reason to think that lady ever said one thing that wasn't true. She didn't know about Lori's conviction until she walked out of that deliberation room and was told, hey, Google Lori Vallow. And she did. And was like, what? Now, we don't know when old juror 15 did it because he says he did it the day before the verdict, which means on the way home from court that day when he wasn't supposed to, he figured out about her other 3 life sentences. Remember, he even said he felt sorry for her. He felt sorry for her. And it was the day before. So we're going to take a look at that. Now, this is Nate Eaton. Let me get this pulled up. This is a piece that I looked, because I went searching around, and I think I found it on Twitter, a comment somebody made led me somewhere as usual. And I found this. Okay, hold on. Let me find the right one here. So it was Nate Eaton, like I said. Let me pull this up. And I think he interviewed the old prosecutor out of Idaho. And he's going to show a clip of what that juror said here in just a second. Okay.
The jurors walk out of the courthouse. Well, we're reporters. So half of them go this way, half of them go this way. I run down to give my card to several jurors. They wouldn't take it. The ones that walk this way. The ones that walk the other way, a bunch of cameras are chasing them, to be honest. And they have to wait for a shuttle bus to go back to their cars. So they're standing there. They can't really go anywhere. And that's when the other reporters started to talk to them. And I ran up and I, stuck my phone. I told Jordan he was there. I'm like, you stay here. I'm going to go videotape these guys, see what they have to say. And that's where those interviews happened that you probably saw. I played them last night. And those jurors seemed very, very kind, very wonderful. But they probably also had zero media training. I have done this for a living for 20 years, but if I had just served on a high-profile jury case, I'm going to want to get my thoughts together before I walk out and have 50 cameras in my face. And that's honestly what happened. I thought they handled it really well, though. But there's been one statement that I've had dozens of you send to me, and it's got people talking. This was said, a juror said this to Fox 10 in Phoenix on the sidewalk last night after the verdict.
Let me turn the speed back down just in case, because I want you guys to hear it at normal speed. And you can see it on the screen as well, though.
To play the clip and listen to it closely, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Do you remember your reaction learning that she has been convicted of killing her 2 children?
I feel sorry for her. I mean, Driving home yesterday, I'm just like, God, she's spending the rest of the next 3 lives in prison in a cell. You know, I mean, you got to feel sorry for her, even though, I mean, that's awful thing to do. I mean, there's something wrong up here, but what do you think? Still, you know, you just feel awful about it.
What was that?
What?
Oh, I thought I heard something.
Well, it was that video ended, but there was 2 men in the background. So that, I think, was Joe's video that Nate just played. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, but the juror speaking what he said about what he did, you know, that he felt sorry for Lori, and he knew the day before about the 3 convictions when he wasn't supposed to know. That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's someone in the public saw that and notified the court. That's how this got started. So it could, if it's true, and he did know that prior to the verdict, then there's trouble in Lori land. Not for Lori. So we'll see what kind of defense attorney she really is for herself now. Because if they interview him and I don't know how they'll prove it. How do you prove someone's telling you, oh, I got confused, right? He could say, I got confused. I didn't mean that I knew it the day before. That's not how I meant that. Or I meant once I walked out the door just now, I figured it out on the way out here with these ladies. Sounds like you said the night before you knew, because you even had enough thought to feel sorry for her for a minute. Why would you even feel sorry for her is the first question. Was weird.
Well, there's no telling.
No, well, if they can prove he lied, or they prove jury misconduct, jury whatever they want to call it over there in Arizona, then Lori Vallow has a case now to come back on appeal, or to get her conviction overturned in Charles's case, and at the least get a retrial, because the jury stuff's no bullshit. That's why you can't do that.
So he said that yesterday, not today. He said that yesterday, meaning that he was driving home the night before and knew the night before they had a verdict that she had killed her kids and was serving 3 life sentences. So is it problematic? What do you think? They were under an admonition not to talk about the case. They were under an admonition not to watch media, whatever. Now, it's very possible he misspoke. Very possible. And a lot of people think he may have. I don't know. But what I did want to do is get Rachel Smith on, Special Prosecutor Rachel Smith, to get her take on what happens in a situation like this. When a juror says that, I'm going to play it one more time for you, and then I'm going to play the Rachel Smith interview for kind of get some answers. Because legally, I've had multiple people say, oh my gosh, is this a mistrial? Oh my word, what's Lori going to do? They're going to use this on an appeal. You remember. I don't know if you remember. If you weren't here 2 years ago, you probably don't. I remember because after I interviewed a juror, Jim Archibald filed a notice of appeal based on some, or not a notice of appeal, a notice of, he wanted to bring to attention a few things a juror had said to me in that interview. The juror then, after that was filed, we did a follow-up interview at his request, and he clarified it, and it ended up not going anywhere. But here again is what the juror said yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, do you remember your reaction learning that she has been convicted of killing her 2 children?
You know, I feel sorry for her, you know? I mean, driving home yesterday, I'm just like, God, she's spending the rest of the next 3 lives in prison in a cell, you know? I mean, you got to feel sorry for her, even though, I mean, that's awful thing to do. I mean, there's something wrong up here, but what do you think? Still, you know, you just feel awful about it.
Okay.
What do y'all think? Y'all think old boy knew something yesterday driving home? Yeah, I know, Joe, but somebody notified the court what that dude said, and they done got a video entered over there. Huh. Think it was Fox 10's original or yours? I don't know. But Nate used yours. Yes, sir. I noticed that when I said that when we played it the first, well, that's the second time he's played it. So I had mentioned I thought it was yours. Um, dude, that's not cool, Joe Schmo. Look, Nate doesn't copyright me when I play him. You're mean. You're a mean guy.
So what does all this mean? Let's go to our expert prosecutor, Rachel Smith. For those of you that might not know who she is, she served as a special prosecutor on the first case with Lori Vallow Daybell in Idaho. She's done over 100 other murder cases. She's done death penalty cases. She knows her stuff. And maybe she's seen situations like this before. Here is what she had to say. All right, Rachel, the big talk about over the past 24 hours, one of the big things has been this juror who spoke to the media, all of us yesterday, and talked about how, he talked about that maybe he may have seen or known about Lori's prior offenses the night before the verdict came in. We don't know if he misspoke. We don't know the context of that, but it has a lot of people raising questions. First of all, just your overall thoughts of what he said and could that mean anything for this case?
Well, the sign bit, the response that I would have to that juror's clip is, we don't know. Could have been a misstatement. He was exhausted. It's my understanding the jurors walked out, and understandably, the reporters were trying to talk to him. They probably had very little time to get, I'm not even sure they were warned that the media was out there or that the media could approach them. So having had reporters come up to me and ask me questions, I worked in an office where we were coached a lot about how to handle that. We literally had one of the major TV stations right across the courtyard, and the local big Post Dispatch had an office in the court building. So even then, even with exposure like that on a nearly daily basis, I would often freeze. So it is possible he misspoke. It is possible he was just tired.
Well, I don't know, because yesterday on the drive home, well, okay, because today you haven't driven home yet. We're still there. So he couldn't have meant today, but said yesterday. I'll never buy that in a million years. So was it yesterday or the day before yesterday is not my next question. Because the future hadn't happened yet, so we're not going to go there yet. So was it yesterday or the day before? Or the day before that? Sorry, Charles Vallow.
And got
You
it wrong.
deserved better.
But if the statement stands that he somehow learned the night before they reached a verdict, and that he learned of the other convictions, that could be problematic, but it's not automatically problematic. In most places, and in Arizona as well, a defendant has a right to file a motion for new trial. If Lori's going to appeal, she's going to do that. In fact, everybody does that. That's not new, novel, or exciting to those of us in the field. It sounds exciting to people who maybe not follow it the way we do, but Lori has a right to file that motion for new trial. If there is concerns about that statement or evidence to suggest he learned of information while the case was going on that was external to the court trial, then that would be the place we would see it raised. And then the court would have a hearing and make a decision. One, did it even happen? And two, did it have an effect? Did it somehow affect the outcome of the case? And the state would be given a chance to respond. And in fact, if the court decides, yeah, the jurors acquired outside information, then response would be the prosecutor would have an absolute right to deal with it. There's a couple of cases directly out of Arizona that give the standard, which is that the prosecutor then has the burden of showing that it didn't affect the outcome. So the prosecutors in Maricopa, should this come up, will have every right to stand up and say, look, the evidence was overwhelming. There's no evidence that anything he might have learned impacted how he voted, and judge, that's not the basis for a new trial. So it is certainly something that makes the situation more complicated if true, but there are legal recourses for both the state and the defendant, and an opportunity for the judge to do a hearing. So that would come up in the motion for new trial if Lori even wants to file one. So, Nate, I've gone a little long, but the posture that we're going to be in over the next 60 to 90 days is Lori and or her standby counsel will have a right to file a motion for new trial. They almost all of them who are going to appeal do that. And then if that's denied, then Lori's sentenced, and then she has a right to regular appeal, which is where that issue would come up a second time, where the Court of Appeals would look at, hey, did the trial judge get it wrong? But there's a lot of deference given to the trial judge in that situation.
Well, if you recall, in Lori's first trial in Idaho, I interviewed the juror, the first juror, and Lori's defense team did file something based on a couple of statements that he made in that interview. I then did a follow-up interview with him at his request, the juror. He said, I want to make it clear. I don't recall the particular items that he raised, but this came up in that trial, and I don't think it really ended up going anywhere.
No, it didn't. And Lori limited her appeals in Idaho. She didn't file everything she could have filed. So that's a very narrow context, but it did come up prior to sentencing. Judge Boyce can.
Oh, that's interesting. She
Yeah.
could. Why didn't she? She don't think she's not going to this time as her own attorney. This is God's way of showing her that exoneration's coming.
Considered the information, and it just didn't go anywhere. It wasn't as much that they acquired information about her criminal history. I don't remember the specifics, slightly different nuance, but when jurors talk after a conviction, it can affect the outcome if there isn't a clear record and if the court doesn't do a good job of running it down. Judge Boyce did allowed, and Jim Archibald made a record, and Judge Boyce did a really good job of addressing concerns, and it ended up not really going anywhere. If the juror misspoke, and if it didn't, and even if he didn't, if it didn't impact the outcome and the state can show that it did not impact the outcome, it's really not going to go anywhere. It's all going to turn on that hearing.
Right. Okay. So what other things do you think the defense, should Lori decide to do a full appeal? As you mentioned, in Idaho, she kind of waved a bunch of that away. But let's say they go full in on, we want to appeal this. Are there other things that are kind of standard in all of these cases, or in this particular case?
So what do you think, Joe? I don't want to play no more of it, guys. I'm tired of hearing it. So y'all, do you think she's going to... So that...
I would, if I were her, I would just file an appeal just for the sake of filing an appeal, because it is something that should be examined. But
so do you think
he said I feel sorry for her, but he still voted for her guilty. So I think,
well, it doesn't matter. You can feel sorry for somebody and still find them guilty.
Right. But did it affect the outcome of the verdict? I don't think it did. So it's probably a nothing burger. It's probably a nothing burger.
Well, let's hope
it's not going to go anywhere.
I mean, it more than likely will be. But if there's a possibility, it was such a concern to someone who saw it that they thought enough to notify the court that it was out there, and the court thought it enough to make them want to notify. I just read the document.
Yeah, that wasn't me. I swear to God, that wasn't me.
They entered a video into the evidence for Lori to view at the court's request.
It was like that Michael Osbrook YouTube video link. They just put like a video link in there, so that'll be interesting to see what happens from that. But that was the original
They put
Fox.
video
That
links
was
in
the
a lot of
original. Yeah, that
documents.
was the original Fox 10 verdict watch, where the verdict hadn't even come out yet, and then they ran for several hours. Like 6 hours into that video is when you see that little clip. But
Yeah.
Nate used mine. Nate used my clip with my captions.
Well, that's because you pointed out every word he said. You highlight. Let me say no. You highlighted every
Mhm.
word he said. Let me put it that way. Easier for those who can't hear it well to see it. So yeah, I was like, oh shit. Did they send in Joe's video or did they send in Fox 10? It depends on where the person saw it at, Joe. What if the person who saw it on the YouTube streets and was
Well,
like,
if
damn.
if Nate saw it, I have questions. Because how did Nate see
I
it?
mean, no, I meant the person who turned it over to
Yeah,
the
yeah. But did somebody like Nate seeing it lead to somebody else turning it in?
dude.
You know?
No. Who knows? Nate probably ain't the one who found it on the YouTube. His team probably found it and brought it to
Right.
him,
Right.
right?
That's what happened with Josh Ritter in Courtroom Confidential. His producer actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you mind
Yeah,
if we
that's how that
show
shit
that clip?"
works.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
how them big outfits work over there. I know how they operate. That's why we are social media. I'm not no mainstream media over here. I'm making fun right now. I couldn't help it. Butterflies laughing, laugh out loud, Joe. Um, anyway, yeah, Dolphin, thank you for coming up and hanging out with us. She's going to go chill and listen in. So I was just curious about what you thought about this whole, I found it interesting that someone saw, because I told you when it was out there, I was like, dude, that dude said it on that Fox 10 news piece. A lot of people are going to see it well beyond social media, right? So was somebody like watching their news and there it was in their constitutionalistic ways was like, oh no, because that's how it feels.
Well, I believe in a defendant's
We
constitutional
all
right
do. We
to
all
a fair
do.
trial.
But
Yep,
what kind of
absolutely.
person? I guess I'm seeing it from a different angle. I understand that. We all want the Constitution and uphold it. We should. We should without a doubt. But some go take it to a different level. So who saw that and said, whoa, Lori's got a mistrial on her hands. Let me make sure I notify the court. Or who was
Yeah.
with her. You know what I'm saying? That's where my mind went, dude. I know all the other stuff
Well,
behind it is crazy.
remind us again what happened in Delphi with that content creator and him getting like put into
He
the
wasn't the
court
only
record.
one. There was more than one content creator in Delphi documents. There were multiple. So I'm not going to name names on YouTube streets,
Right, but
especially
just
concerning
what happened? Like what effect did that have
nothing.
on the case, if any? No, okay, that's
None.
what.
You saw. Okay, Joe, but that's not the only case that social media has been brought into. It's been brought into Brian Koberger. There's YouTube
Hmm.
accounts and the search warrants. We have profiling evil in the Susan Morphew case. We have Nancy Morphew in the Crystal Rogers Brooke House case. I could go on about YouTube videos that are talked about in court documents that are being brought into evidence. And so I'm very aware of that, and I like to stay in my lane with that because I ain't trying to end up in them court documents. Now, some asked for
Hmm.
it. Why don't I'm not going to email no damn judge and start a ruckus. I'm
I
not
was nervous.
talking
Like
shit.
I honestly, I was nervous for a little bit till I checked out that link, and I'm like, oh, good, it's just Fox 10's coverage that has nothing to do with me. Leave me the hell
Yeah,
out of it.
I don't want to be in the spotlight like that.
Nope,
No, I don't
no.
want to be. I don't like the spotlight at all. I'm good to stand over here and let somebody else take the lead on that shit. I can produce a show all day long, but ugh, some of this, but good Lord. So that's crazy. Yeah, that could even be a possibility, right, guys? I mean, come on. This is Lori Vallow. This is the fourth conviction. I mean, one more to go. And the possibility that, this is going to happen or could happen is just insane. Um, Shame on him if he did view something or listen to something that day on the ride home. or
Right.
the way he said it was on the drive, I was feeling sorry for her. So did you hear it on the drive home accidentally on the radio and then began to feel sorry for her? Or did you find out a few days before and was already feeling sorry for her? Why the hell would you feel sorry for her? I got questions for old boy. It's like, go ahead and get an interview, Joe, because I got questions.
I'm trying. Tom said he was going to send my phone number over to him,
Oh,
but
he ain't gonna talk
I
for a
don't have.
minute. I
Yep.
doubt
I
he.
don't.
I
Yeah.
think he's about to go. I think he's about to go radio silent for a minute.
Well, he's causing the other jurors to do the same thing. Like
Well, of course.
I had contact with one of the gals, and all of a sudden, just like yesterday, she's like, you know what? I'm done talking. I'm
Yep.
done.
Wow. I
Yeah.
can't blame them. They've made the media rounds, social media or mainstream media ate them up the minute they come out of that door. Like Nate said, they don't have no training or anything to prepare them for what's about to come, especially when they don't realize they're part of a high profile case. They may be aware something's kind of weird because shit's weird. There's cameras and stuff, right? But other than that, they really don't realize how big it is sometimes until they walk out those courtroom doors.
Yeah, and I think
It's
honestly,
crazy to think about. No, it's crazy to think about it like that, but it's true.
yeah, and I think Tom Evans probably handled it correctly because his first gut instinct was, I'm not talking to anybody and I'm not doing anything. He did go
Yeah.
and he did meet with the
Yeah, had to
families.
collect his
He got
thoughts and stuff.
yes, exactly. And then he
Compose
started
himself.
proceeding forward, right?
Mm-hmm. You got to process what you just did, right? What you just did, what you were just a part of, all the things you went through, the however many weeks it took, to the verdict is read. That relief that might finally come out. You're ready to go home and get some sleep. You're exhausted. Leave me alone. I would be that way. Just let me go for a minute. Yeah, let me go compose myself and collect my thoughts. For sure. For sure. Welcome in anybody who's just now joining and listening in. Thank you for being in here. I see a couple of new faces since we've started. Hello, Big C Blaze. Welcome back. Welcome in. Real Happy came in. Carol, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Or this still it's 11:11 my time. Real Happy. Let's all make a wish. 11:11. Well, it's not 11:11 for all of y'all. If you live in my world, it's 11:11.
The time for new beginnings.
Yes, sir. It's always a new beginning. It's always time for a new beginning.
Yep.
This is something courts need to figure out living in a digital age. They got a lot to figure out living in a digital age, right? Real Happy? Oh my God, do they ever? They first need to learn how technology works. They're so good with their digital evidence. Learn how to operate good technology or bring it to the courtroom, I should say. Bring that good technology to the courtroom. We demand it as a society going forward. It's like getting all your terabytes of data organized nice and neatly in a big folder, which apparently Brian Koberger had done for him.
Right. So we just heard in Karen Reed that this guy Whiffen
Yes.
wrote his own software, created his own software, and he works for Celebrite. So tell me how, like in Brian Koberger, how Cy might be comparable to that.
Okay, so Cy was a former law enforcement officer, and guess what? So was Whiffen. Is that his name, Whiffen? So was
Yes.
he, right? They both began their career as law enforcement officers who eventually moved into the cell phone, digital data stuff. So Cy ended up taking classes and courses and all the things that led up to him owning his own company and writing programs that read reports that they would generate from towers and all the things involved with cell phone data and pinpoint locations and all of that. And Cy created his own programs, including because I just posted it to my community tab, because they did the work in the damn John O'Keefe. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So anyway, Cy company developed software that would read cell phone data. And then he sold it eventually to a company called LexisNexis. And Trax, that was it. Trax was the system. And Trax LexisNexis, once Cyray sold it to LexisNexis, he stayed on board for a while for transition, right? Um, over to them. Um, so anyway, that company has been used before in court. It's also been kept out of court for no peer reviews, discrepancies, not even allowed in court in one case out of Colorado. But anyway, his Trax program, owned by LexisNexis Solutions, was used to track John O'Keefe's location in the original trial at the Waterfall Bar and at the iPhone registered 3 ascending flights of stairs and all that.
Wait, this is Cyray or this is with
Yeah,
him?
Cyray. Now I'm talking about
Whoa.
Cyray now. This is what Cyray
Wow.
has done. For those who don't understand Cyray's background, let me give it to you. Former law enforcement officer, worked his way through the system, through school, all the things he would need, ends up becoming a cell phone guy. I'm calling them all cell phone guys now. He's a cell phone guy. So he ends up learning how and writing programs to read the technology they're receiving from the data they're getting from these towers and all these things that are coming into play with this new cell phone shit. He ends up creating Trax, a program that reads, like, say, this location data. All right. So then he eventually sells the company to a company called LexisNexis. They use the Trax programs now. He stayed on board for a while, I think over a year, as they transitioned into the new company, teaching them all the things and showing them all the things, I guess, making it all whatever. So turns out LexisNexis and the Trax Corporation, their little program, they are what was used in Canton to find John's phone location at the Waterfall Bar, and it recorded that's how they knew the iPhone did the ascending, descending 3 flights of stairs. At that particular location, they also used Trax to find the location of where that happened, which puts him at John's house, or I'm sorry, the Albert house. So it was interesting to me that that's what was used, was Cyray's former company or his program, but with that company. You know what I mean? So
Right.
now
So yeah,
there have been court cases though where Cy's Trax information data, whatever it was doing there, was not allowed in court. There's a case out of Colorado where the judge's like, no, it's not allowed because it's not good enough. It wasn't reliable enough. It wasn't peer reviewed. All the things as far as expert testimony goes. Now, with that said, Cyray recently testified. What's her name? Not what's her name, Miss Shorty, but Miss Shorty sent me a video of what's this girl's name? Santentaria. What is that girl's name, y'all? She had a recent trial, and Shorty's been covering that. Anyway, Cyray just testified for the prosecution in that lady's trial. He used to testify for prosecutions and now also testifies for defense teams. Okay. So fast forward through all that, Cyray tells Anne that FBI, she brings him on board to be her cell phone guy. Then he ends up telling her at some point, well, the FBI could access those AT&T timing records before such and such, May of 2023, and they would have had the whole 7 days and blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, tell me more. And he did. But how did he know that? Because he got that sneak peek from the FBI, because he talks about that openly. The judge even pointed that out. So then he tells her, well, whatever she wanted to hear, I don't know. You know what I mean? Once he told her about the AT&T records, and then she tries to get those records, they're claiming they don't exist. A big fight starts out over these damn records. Do you have them? Do you don't have them? AT&T has come out with an affidavit stating we did not give those out prior to May of 2023 to local law enforcement. Only way to get them was from the FBI. Through the FBI, or you had to be FBI to obtain them, but that was his big secret. Cyray, he told everybody, I got a sneak peek of what the FBI had. He was supposed to write a program to read this data. He didn't know what it was. He said he looked at it and did not recognize it and didn't know what it was. But before he could do anything with it, he gets a phone call back saying, "Oh, you shouldn't look at that. Give it back. We didn't mean to give it to you. Hands off. Don't
That
copy it.
that would
Don't do nothing." And so I was like,
that would make
"Okay,
me want to look at it more.
all right. Don't tell me old boy did not make a copy of that anyway. Can the FBI tell if he copied their stuff?" Anyway, I'd be like looking at that as soon as we got it back. Did he tamper with it? Did he invest? Did he copy? Make copies? What's going on here? Look at the data. But yeah, so that's how he knew. So okay, so if he didn't know what he was looking for or what he was looking at, and they just said, "Hey, well, you shouldn't look at that. Give it back." How the hell did he know that it was AT&T timing records? How'd
Butterfly.
you
I
know
think
that?
that was. I think she was talking about Cementilli,
Yes,
and
sanitary. There you go. Thank you,
Fabio's murder.
Butterfly. That's it. That's the name. That's the most recent case. And Shorty sent me a whole video testimony from Ray in that case. And I was like, well, look at there. So so he's going to dispute. And he said on the witness stand that he had a hearing. And I need to go over that hearing again because during the hearing, Ray stated on Anne was having this big hearing over this cell phone stuff. And she brought the two detectives in, Maury and what's his name, and then she brings in Ray, and he tells her that they're like the car appears to go basically come out of the apartments and like take a right, go in that 7 minutes they now talk about, go in that direction, but the state's claiming it went the other direction, which it did. But that 7 minute time gap, what was it doing? Was it going down there and turning around and coming back? Probably. It appears that's what happened. But that's all he could really testify to. He told her that. And he's like, as more things come in, as more evidence comes in, because it was still early in the process, he said, I reserve the right to change my mind. Meaning, as I see more, because right now I just see a tiny bit. And of course, they're going to show him the most exculpatory thing they can find right off the bat, defense attorney, because that's who's brought him in. What about this 7 minute weirdness right here? What's this? What's this? He's like, well, that tells me this happened, but where's the rest of it? Well, we'll see if we can get it. They haven't given it to us yet. You know how it goes. So anyway, he did reserve the right to change his mind as time went on. But apparently he's still on board, so we'll have to wait and see. Interesting, right?
It is.
Long story. But so then you go back to the guy in this case with Kara Reed, reminded me a lot of that. Is he out to make a name for himself? Is he writing his programs and he needs to make a name for that program, right? So he can determine with his program exactly what that phone was doing. When his own Celebrate company software, leader in the industry, I might add, can't do it. But his program can.
Right.
Cyray's can in some cases and can't in others. I don't know.
If you're working for Celebrate and you have to, well, that's he developed his own software. I have questions. I have so many
Of
questions.
course. Well, that's what I'm saying. You work for a leader in the industry who develops and pays guys top dollar to develop the latest software, but you're going to go out here and make your own on the side.
Yeah, Celebrate
Tell me.
isn't just a leader; they are the leader. Like
Mhm.
they're mentioned everywhere. Like any trial you see that has any type of
Oh,
cell phone
yeah.
data, Celebrate's in there.
It's going to be hard to dispute some Celebrate evidence. They're not there to dispute anything. But like, I get what that, the guy even testified, you got to think about it too. When they, accusing him of, changing things, lying, I don't know, whatever they're accusing him of, is him making a name for himself or whatever he was trying to accomplish there worth throwing his entire company under the bus for and possibly his career.
Well, he
That seems
excluded
wild to me.
he excluded a whole lot of data in his
Yeah,
report.
he did. Why would you do that, right? Why would you risk shit like that? Why would you risk it? Why can't you just be honest, and be like, well, and then let the defense sort it out? The prosecution. Give them everything you got, and then it's literally their job to decide what's omitted. So was that what he meant? They kind of led the way on what needed to be kept out? because it's literally not his decision. They ask him that, are you an investigator? They even asked Jim McCabe that. No, I'm not. No, you're not. That his job literally is not to investigate what happened. His job literally is to read the data and turn it over regardless of what it says. Right?
Yep.
Better be
Produce a
what the hell
report.
he's doing. If he's
Produce a
searching on my
report.
phone, by God, you better turn it over to somebody with a brain, you data dude. I can't rely on no data dude to solve the mystery. He just a data dude. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm picking. It's funny as shit, though. No, I'm gonna call all them cell phone guys data dudes from now on.
Right.
Yeah, I am. It's crazy. Well, so we've had like a dozen witnesses, I think, so far. In the trial. So we're up to McCabe. We've had some interesting ones, and I think my biggest takeaway, Joe, so far is we got some people whose grand jury testimony is a little shifty, a little shady, compared to
Not a little. She admitted she lied to the grand jury. That.
Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Carrie Roberts.
Yeah.
Oh, I have. If you guys want to check it out, I got a few more minutes before I have to go. Well, I don't have to go, but I need to go because I do have things around the house I need to do while I have a day off from streaming a live trial all day. And I kind of just want to take it easy in the afternoon. But Microdots had a thing where they compared McCabe's testimony last trial to this trial, first to second, and I thought it would be interesting to take a look at with you guys.
Oh yeah, I'm down. I'm down for it.
Okay, let me get it pulled up. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what happens over there in Lori's bizarre world. That dude shouldn't have done it. If he did it, he shouldn't have done it. But anyway, we can't help what he did now. All
Yeah,
right.
I think yeah. So she and Jen McCabe are similar to me in the fact that they are instantly dislikable. Like you just look at them and you're like, I don't feel like you're telling me the truth, and I don't know why I don't like you, but I don't.
She doesn't come across as sincere, soft, friendly girl type of woman, just lighthearted here, just chill. I don't picture her that way because she's even made the statement on the stand that Carrie was a talker. Carrie liked to be was like a takeover kind of person, right? Carrie was in charge. Carrie's got this. I was like, huh, are we describing ourselves or are we mirroring right now? What are we doing? What are we doing here, lady? Because she doesn't come across as sincere to me or super friendly, right? And I feel like she did soften her look this time. Like maybe last time it was a little too harsh. And I say that because, say, like when O.J. Simpson trial happened, right? Marcia Clark was the prosecuting attorney. She had a very, very short, very, very tight perm. She looked really sharp, edgy, kind of hardcore, right? It was a noticeable look. And at some point, you noticed I noticed it, but the media began to notice it. And literally, after it was all said and done, she spoke about it publicly. She began to soften her look during that trial because she realized what was being said about her. They dress that's why you see defendants fighting for their right to walk in wearing clothes now versus their shitty ass orange stuff. They have experts that come in and tell them, you got to tone it down. And I think that's what happened with her as well. It could have been her just on a woman's binge going out and getting her hair done, whatever, that's cool. But I don't think so. I think there was more to it. I think she was trying to soften that look up a little bit and be a little more likable.
Oh, but she denied it. She denied it. She was asked about it by Alan Jackson, and she denied it.
She did what if she was asked to change her hair?
No, if she received any kind of coaching on her appearance and demeanor.
Well, appearance meaning like don't come at me attitude, right? Yeah, but not like her. Because if you ask her about her hair, you're going to cross the line. in my
Yes.
opinion.
No, he didn't ask about her
You know?
hair. No.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
her,
So I
mostly
wouldn't
her.
dare sit up there and ask some man, "Did you shave your fucking head today?" You know, I'm like, I don't give a rat's ass about your hair. I don't even look at your hair half the time. I might for a minute because it's there, but otherwise, it's not a thought. I don't I, like if Lori had like a weird thing going on or something. You know, I'm gonna notice that crap because I can't help it. But on average, I don't know. I just don't look at. I don't. I'm looking at faces. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, their hair could, maybe use a change, but I'm looking at their faces. Um, some of Jeff, are you serious?
Oh, Jeff's in here.
Oh, look, there's this comment. Do you see it?
Oh my gosh. You really want me to sum up Juror 15 in 30 seconds? So Juror 15 was a problem child from day one. He appeared in front of the judge 3 times for violations of conduct, but he wasn't ever dismissed. And then I ran into him once at lunchtime where he was like hanging out near where the
Hang on,
public
Jeff.
was. Yep,
I'm sorry to interrupt you,
you
but
got it.
you're right. That's the same juror, right? That 3 times had to go
Yes.
before the judge.
Yep.
So are they going to take that in consideration?
No, because they already let it go. Like the judge had to like take it up in that moment when he said, "Oh, you were texting during Captain Keller's testimony," and Juror 15 was like, "Oh, I was texting my
What
daughter."
date was that?
What?
What date was he texting?
That was Captain Keller's testimony. I'd have to go back in my notes, but it was probably like
Huh.
day 2 or 3. I'm gonna guess it was early
I
on
wonder
because it was
I'm just
first
trying to figure
responder.
out when he found out about this shit. I'm just trying to figure out what day I'm gonna find out. Keep talking, old boy, not you. That guy, Juror 15. The more they talk and you listen, the more they tell you. So I'm waiting on him to let me know exactly when he found that out. But if he's gone dark, he's not going to tell me. So I'm sorry to interrupt your flow. You was trying to go in 30 seconds. Take it away, Joe.
Yeah, mate, you used up all the rest of my 30 seconds. I got
Did
nothing.
time's up. Sorry, Jeff. Go get the replay, dude. No. So, like,
So the judge called him in 3 times, twice for his phone and once for a conversation with juror number 16 about Social Security after the Social Security Administration investigation guy's testimony. And then so they let the jurors mingle with the rest of us during their lunch break. Like there were no rules about where they could stand, where they could be. Obviously, there's the judge's admonition: don't talk about the case to your fellow jurors or to anybody else. But he was standing within 15 feet of where we're all sitting for our lunch break. So I told all the people around me, I'm like, there's a dude standing right there. We should probably wait till he goes away before we talk about the case. Because we all talk about the case all the time, right? That's why we're there. We're like meeting people, we're making friends, we're talking about the case, we're talking about our opinions about the witnesses.
how dare y'all? How dare y'all be there for any other reason? No, that's natural, right?
Well, but we were
So,
actually warned against that. Like Vince
don't
came
want
out
to
and
talk about it?
yes, Vince came out and he's like, y'all realize that the jurors are like right here, so maybe you shouldn't talk about the case. And I'm like,
Wow,
good
they
Lord.
had to come and tell y'all that, though?
Yes.
Did y'all know that they were right there, though?
Not
And
until that day, not until juror number 15 that day. And his phone went off when he was walking past me, which I thought was ironic because his phone got him in trouble twice already. But his phone goes off, so I'm like, oh, hey, that's juror number 15. And he goes and he stands right at the corner. And he positions himself at the corner, like where he could potentially hear stuff that we're talking about. So I was like, I advise everybody just like, let's not talk about it till he leaves. And then he left like after about 5 minutes. But then we have his comments after the fact, like after the guilty verdict.
so
He
was
goes
that
on
the only
TV.
time y'all were near them? Is that what that one interaction with him?
Oh no, they were near us all the time.
That's what I'm
Like they
saying.
didn't
So
have a separate
that's what I'm
entrance.
asking you. The
No, yeah.
times they were near y'all, y'all were talking about it with them near y'all. But that's what I'm saying. Did y'all know they were near
No,
y'all?
every time that
Oh,
I noticed a juror near us, I would not open my mouth at all, except to advise other people, hey, there's a juror
yeah,
right there. Let's not talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah. Because you think they probably try to maybe keep y'all separate. You know what I mean? But
They didn't. They
'cause
did not.
he could have overheard somebody or something, or figured it out on his own. Either way.
Right.
Anyway, so Jeff, getting back to it, I'm sorry again. We gonna go into this damn conversation again about this guy, but like Joe said, there were already issues with him in the past. Blah blah blah. Fast forward, as soon as they came out, and he began to do interviews. He did an interview stating that the day before, or the night, Joe, was it the day before, he felt sorry for Lori, knowing that
Yep.
she was going to already serving 3 life convictions, meaning he knew about her other convictions in Idaho before he rendered the verdict, which he wasn't supposed to know.
Right. So there's
Which,
3 possibilities. Number
yeah,
1, he misspoke, which we just saw Nate talking to that one gal about. Maybe he misspoke. Number 2, he did know about it before the trial and he lied on his juror questionnaire. Or
mhm,
number 3, he somehow found out about it during the trial and or deliberations.
yes,
That's it.
that's
That's the only 3 possibilities.
exactly. You're right about that. The only 3. So that's it, Jeff. But yeah, we played some videos, backstory on it. If you want to go back and rewind and check it out in a little while. All right, guys. Butterfly, can you get Microdot's link in here again? We're about to watch one of their videos. If you have a chance, please. Um, so this is when they did recently, a day or two ago, when Jen's testimony. Okay, so they got her on the left-hand side is, the current this trial testimony. And the one on the right is the original trial's testimony. So we'll let this start.
Miss Roberts unlocked the door. Karen got out. Miss Roberts looked at me and said something like, she's crazy or she's batshit crazy, something like that. Carrie looks at me and said like, she's batshit crazy. And Miss Roberts went over and she was removing the snow from his face. It wasn't until I got very close over to them that I saw Carrie removing the snow from John's face. She straddles John and she lifts up his shirt, and then she lifted up her shirt and went to lay on him. Karen had straddled him and had lifted her shirt and his shirt and was laying on him, and Carrie was screaming at her to get off of him.
The first thing to notice is how heavily scripted Jennifer's account is. Her story.
Okay, guys, entertainment purposes only. Remember that. We enjoy our little Microdot videos over here, but this one is definitely for entertainment purposes and all that kind of stuff. Let me throw up this little banner here. So take it with a grain of salt.
Story is tightly rehearsed, mirroring her testimony from the first trial almost word for word, while there are slight variations in phrasing. It's the delivery that stands out most. She injects human emotion into her narrative at key moments for maximum effect, as you will see in the next sequence.
And I could not believe that that was John laying there. And I was literally just stunned. I mean, there he was.
This is the face Jennifer makes when she's made an over-dramatic statement in an effort to sell her story.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's so fun. The commentary sometimes cracks me up, right? Because I get it. You understand what I'm saying? I know this guy has not got an inside sight to anything, no more than, outside of reporting and stuff like that. So
No, it's like a do you remember the Mutual? Do you remember the Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom that we used to watch when we were kids?
Yes.
He's like that. He's like that announcer.
Yes. Right. You can't help but be drawn into the story, and it's so cool though. But even look at her face though, both times. It's like, huh? Does she come off as believable to you? I do at this point because Carrie was probably over there getting snow off John's face. We're not being asked about anything else yet except what was going on scene. yet.
Uh-oh.
Reminiscent of a lying child who's trying to manipulate her parents to get out of trouble.
Reminiscence
We'll
of a
see it
lying
again in a
child.
moment.
He was just laying flat on his back. I couldn't see much but his face because the rest was snow and Karen was moving over him, but he just looked like just him, but just like frozen.
There it is again. I don't typically put much stock in body language analysis, but in Jen's case, the signals are unmistakable. She's remarkably easy to read and a very poor liar.
Okay. I have to say, I agree with his statement right there. Because I read people. I can't help it. I'm a people person. I've been studying people for so many years. I used to ask myself, why you do that? Because it was fun. People are weird. Humans amaze me, right? And she is pretty much an easy read because her face is pretty much of a dead giveaway. She can't help it. I can't help
Yeah,
it.
I don't
Right?
understand. I don't understand how the first jury bought it, because they had to have bought part of it, right?
They had to pick up on her hostility. And I wonder if they've picked up on, so when they were questioning her about this other agency came to your house, came to your door, and questioned you about your testimony at the grand jury. Not the Massachusetts State Police, the defense, because they couldn't say the feds. Bev said, no, you can't say what agency, but you can say an agency. So when he was questioning her about that, was the jury picking up on that? They were
Yeah,
like,
not Canton PD, not Massachusetts State Police,
right.
but some other law enforcement agency.
So if you're a juror, aren't you wondering what law enforcement agency would be knocking at her door wanting to investigate statements that she made to the grand jury pertaining to this case? What other agency would do that? If I'm a juror, I'm thinking, what's that about? That right there makes me question her credibility, right?
Yeah, it's a lot more of a direct connection you can make in your mind
Yeah.
than say during Lori Vallow Daybell's, when they didn't get to talk about Tylee and JJ having been deceased. They didn't get to talk about that, and we heard from the jurors. We thought maybe there was something funky going on, but we couldn't figure it out. I think the jurors here can figure this out. I really do.
I hope so. I mean, at least that part, should give them pause, right? Especially if they're going for murder. Because I'm still looking at it through that lens. I don't know what happened here. Because I'll be honest, they've told me a nice story about this conspiracy theory, but they've not proven one to me yet. They also have failed to prove me that Karen Reed ran over anybody in cold blood. Now remember, anybody who's just watching or tuning in for the first time, I don't know this case like you guys. I did not watch the first trial. I don't follow Turtle Boy's stuff. I couldn't tell you one thing that man's ever said except she didn't do it. I don't think she did. Especially not the way they're wanting me to believe she did. So from what little bit we've seen in trial to this date, as a juror, as a armchair detective outside looking in, whatever you want to call it, they haven't shown me anything to show me this woman ran this man over and murdered him. Why are we even here talking about that? I can't get there, but I also can't get there to a conspiracy theory happened yet. It's a compelling story, I'll say that, because there's a lot of people involved with a lot of connections there that make you go, huh? You knew who? Y'all did what? Housewives of Canton? That's what I'm calling this. Housewives of Canton, y'all.
Cocktails and cocktails.
Cocktails and cocktails. That should be their theme for their Housewives in Canton show. I'm going to write. Can I email what's some people's name? Bravo. Can I email them a show idea? Housewives of Canton. They talk funny. That's crazy. Okay.
And then Carrie and I made eye contact, and I called 911. At first, I just stood there for a minute because I couldn't believe it was him. And then Kerry Roberts and I made eye
I almost felt like that was fake. I stood there a minute because I couldn't believe it was him, and then she went right back into being normal. Like maybe she was trying to. She made it once. She made it. Okay, hang on. I'm getting ahead of myself. She made it appear like she was about to cry, but held it in. But it didn't quite land with me. Does that make sense, y'all?
contact. And I like knew, I was like, all right, I'm going to call 911. But I think I knew in that moment that John, you know, was dead. I guess he's gone.
We're on the way.
Unlike all other human beings, the Commonwealth's witnesses' memories have a tendency to get better with the passage of time. Apparently, the same can be said for Jen's emotions. They seem to have intensified over the years since John's death. By this time next year, she'll be so overcome with emotion that she'll be unable to speak.
And Kerry was asking me to go to the car and get, she was yelling to get towels or blankets or something out of the back of our car. And then Kerry was also yelling at me to go to the back of the car to look for blankets and towels. I go over, and at that point, Kerry asks if I can take over doing the compressions.
Notice how cold and emotionless she appeared when delivering that statement during the first trial. In contrast, the revised version of Jen, more emotionally attuned and carefully rehearsed, presents it quite differently this time around.
I went back over to Kerry, Karen, and John, and at that point, Kerry asked if I would take over compressions. I, at some points, walk over towards the car, Kerry's car, to get away because they're so loud. So I walked back towards Kerry's car.
Did she walk away from the scene because Kerry and Karen were too loud? Or was it because she didn't want them to hear the 2 calls she made to her sister inside the home after hanging up with 911? Wherever she was, she felt safe enough to make those calls without being heard.
Either police or fire or someone responds and arrives on scene, is that correct?
Yes, until the police came.
In addition to presenting herself as more caring and sensitive, with a new mom-like hairstyle and a visible religious cross meant to evoke trustworthiness and moral character, Jen also appeared noticeably more diminished. She seemed less sharp than in previous appearances, mentally sluggish at times, and slower to recall words or respond with her usual precision. Her change in demeanor could be attributed to several factors: possible over-medication, mounting anxiety over newly revealed information, or the looming reality that, within 24 hours, she will face cross-examination by the most tenacious attorney in the country. We will soon find out how well the new Jen McCabe can endure the old Alan Jackson.
He accused her of being on medication, y'all. Oh, Lord. It'll help us all. We got the medication done and brought in the building. Half America's on some medication. The car hit him that never came. Couple that with the testimony with CW witnesses, and they were all being difficult. Yeah, which they were being. Why were the prosecutions? I mean, I get it's stressful, right, to be questioned by a defense attorney, or if you're a defense witness, which usually is going to be an expert or someone corroborating to someone's story, right? You got to be prepared for the other side to come at you a little bit there. But so going up against defense attorneys has got to be a taunting task when you don't know what the hell's going to happen, and except what they're telling you, who is the people prepping you. I don't know. Is it already a nervous thing? But they all seem to be a little standoffish, a little combative, maybe a little ornery at times. I don't know the
Just
exact
cagey.
words.
Just cagey. If
Cagey,
you're
there we go. That's a good word.
telling a story, you don't need to be cagey at all. Just answer the questions as they come. And she's so cagey. Like,
Well,
just
she's not the only. We're talking about as a whole, though.
right. No. They all are. But she's starting off this particular testimony. She's first. She's the first non-first responder to testify in trial number 2.
Well, think about this also with Alan's line of testimony or line of questioning of her. He's got a little testy himself once or twice. He's made a comment or two after he asked a question once or twice. So I'm not going to say he didn't, because he absolutely did. But it's okay, because I expect the prosecution's going to, he did the same thing when he did Dr. Wolf's hearing, right? The prosecution was nasty as hell. Jury wasn't in there. It was that closed hearing, or close to the jury anyway, and the prosecutor was nasty as hell to that guy. And then, so the only time they really they gave good questioning to the other witnesses. Don't get me wrong, the defense did. They were very smart. What's the other attorney's name, Joe?
Yannetti.
Okay, yeah, him. They've been giving some really powerful, good arguments. But here comes Alan. I knew he was going to be the one to get McCabe. He's got enough fire to go at her little ass. I probably shouldn't talk about her like that. To go after the woman, but she's going to give it right back. And they're going to be able to show the jury the real Jen McCabe through that. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a method to their madness.
She was definitely coached to be less abrasive this time. She was definitely.
But he knows if he can get up there and poke that freaking bear, it's going to bite back at some point, right? So if he can get up there and push her little buttons, yeah. Micah says, yes, I did. I think I did see the comment. Welcome in, everybody.
It's not 9:45. It's 11:45 your time. Micah's comment.
Oh yeah, it's 11:50 a.m. my time.
No, there's one at 11:45.
Oh, up here. Salty, I was right there. Oh, okay, yeah. I was right there with you last year, started the trial only knowing the girlfriend ran over the boyfriend cop, right? Remember hearing the initial theory and was like, okay, got to be skeptical until they show how. Yeah. So we haven't got to that testimony or evidence, right, yet. I'm waiting for it. It's going to be the make it or break it for me, because so far they fell short. If they're done introducing evidence to show me why this woman did this, jealousy and all that, nope, you haven't got there yet. And if the defense is trying to show me already that a big conspiracy cover-up happened that quickly, using Karen's own theory of did I run him over as their excuse, she didn't say that after the body was found. So I'm kind of having a hard time putting together when that theory developed, because I got to know that part to figure out if they really came up with the theory. Does that all make sense? See, that's where I'm at with this stupid trial. So I love a good mystery. I can't help it. And this is like a true freaking mystery almost, right? Outside looking in. So I can't wait to see the testimony about the wounds. Now, Dolphin said, hang on, we've got another video to watch. Hang the hell on. Hang on, I got to go over here and get it. Dolphin reminded me about this video. Let me find it. And we wanted to get it. We still got a little bit of time. Okay. Let me find where we put it. Let's see. It would be up here, and I think here. Firefly found this video. She spoke about it the other day, but we didn't never get a chance to watch it. Okay, here it is. There's actually okay, that must be a short. And this is the actual video. Let me hang on, guys. I gotta go grab this link and shit. All right, let me see, make sure this is the right one. This is a 13-minute video. Is it just an unboxing? Because I'm not down with just watching a dude unbox something. Hold on. How'd that happen? Okay. Oh, wait. Let me get out of Discord up here. I can't do it from here. Let me do it on my phone. But anyway, it was a video, a recreation, I think, like someone on YouTube did. I'm going to go grab the link and get it where I can grab it. So anyway, they did a recreation, and they ordered like an arm with gel, like you would if you were like going to test like stabbing someone or putting wounds into someone or mimicking human arm. I guess is the best way to put it. I'm assuming that's what he did in this video. Got the materials, got a fake arm, all the things that it would take to mimic a human and did an experiment. I think to see about the wounds. So let me make sure. Because this just looks like a video about a guy. He's not done anything but show me what's in the box. That's funny. A whole video on that? Alright, there's another one right here. Let me see if this is actually it. This is about a taillight thing. No, it's showing the arm again. I'm going to have to go find the video, never mind, of what the experiment actually was, because or make sure I can do that to get them ready for tomorrow, so during break we can watch them. That's a good idea. I really appreciate you recapping what was that with Juror 15. You're welcome, Jeff. And like I said, we presented the videos behind what we're talking about. So if you want to go check it out on replay, you're welcome to do so. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank you for coming in and spending your morning with us here. Joe, thank you for coming up. Dolphin, if you're still listening, as always, thank you for coming up. In the first part of the show, guys, we did go over the latest document in the Koberger case to recap the show there. The judge, denied the latest order about the prosecution sanctions. He's like, nope, no sanctions have been done. No violations occurred. So then we moved into the Lori Vallow mistrial possibility with Juror 15 and what he did or didn't do. And we just kind of gave a little recap on the Jen McCabe testimony and talked about that a little bit. But we have a day off today from the court, and we'll be back in the morning, 8 a.m. my time, 9 a.m. Eastern. So that is 6 a.m. for you, Joe. Do I got that right now? Just struggle in my head to figure it all out. All right, guys. Everybody have the rest great. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys back here in the morning for day 8 of the Karen Reed trial.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe and follow. Much love from little Yas to each of you.